You, first, John.
Thank you very much. Cute. Today is November 11th, 2025, and this is a work session of the Board of Selectmen. We are talking about 3 capital improvement plans and also water and sewer for the budget. And Dennis, go ahead.
Thank you. We left off with the park CIP at the last work session, and we discussed a couple of things. Those I have noted in the changes here before you this evening by making the park signage budget allocation $50,000 a year for the next 3 years. And then also there was some discussion about Pizza Park and whether that should actually be a park, considering its proximity to a busy thoroughfare like Argentine. And so I think the consensus at the meeting was to remove that from the CIP at this point and take that up later when a definitive answer could be made on that question. So with that, I'm going to just leave it up to your discussion this evening on the rest of the park CIP before we move on to the other 2.
And we completed road and bridge, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I've included road and bridge so we could finish that too. We had some concern about the Main Street rehab, as I remember.
Okay,
But I think that was the only thing that was outstanding for follow-up.
so we'll complete parks and go through there. Any other comments then on
How
parks?
does that compare to last year's budget? I forgot to bring that up. For parks.
As I recall, there wasn't any capital improvements in the Parks Department. We did some extensive work in City Park, tree plantings, but those were accounted for under other line item budgets out of the general fund.
Our CIP has not been very.
And it's not been very good, has it?
We did have Strauss Park budgeted for 2024, so there was that part of it, but for this year's 2025, I don't think we had any big projects of trees. So.
Okay, so basically we're to do the CIP stuff, we're gonna be doing a spend down of some of our surplus then, Dennis?
I think so, but we'll have that conversation probably next Tuesday. So the way that I've set up this process is I want to get some conclusion to these capital projects. So I can plug those numbers into the general budget to find out where that money's coming from, so you can see how that relates to our operations.
And
So
then,
this is
we
the
can
first
make
break.
adjustments as needed.
Correct.
Okay.
I think
I
my
understand.
opinion, and the board's gonna listen to that opinion on so far, but my opinion is that these capital investments are almost as important as the general operations money that you're gonna be seeing next week, because you have to balance these one-time expenditures with the surpluses that we have and make sure that your ongoing operations are covered by your annual revenue. So you never wanna be running a deficit on your operations, but you also don't want to forego capital investments because
It's needed.
yeah.
I got you.
So by removing the money from Pizza Park, which is originally the play area, the picnic shelter and the grill and everything like that, there was discussion though, because it is an identifiable and used picnic area. So are we totally ignoring? And I realize when we look at all these numbers down the line, we may still need to make cuts, but I didn't believe that we were totally ignoring it. We just weren't maybe enhancing the play area so much or making it quite.
You still want to put some money towards it?
Well, it looks like now,
There's nothing.
and if we're trying, and think along the lines of the fact that it's part of our entrance and our gateway, and even if we're not trying to, make it some big, huge and improved, place to stop,
Yeah.
we certainly wanna beautify it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that is the main, that's,
So to beautify, would that be Parks and Rec? Would they do that? Some just like mow the grass, put some flowers out, or what? I mean, capital to me means things.
It's gonna
Right,
take, it's
versus-
gonna take capital investment here. We're gonna have to invest in a proper parking area.
Okay.
Right now, it's just a little dirt pull off.
Hold on, right?
And if I heard the conversation correctly, it was mostly the concern about having a play area to attract children in that area. So we could easily just remove the play area and fill that with picnic tables, with umbrellas. You could do whatever you want as long as it's kind of like a stop off for people that want to,
Right.
I don't know, grab food at a.
So make a
food truck.
nicer parking
Or they can
area.
bring their own, or they stopped along the way
Right.
and maybe define the, you know, however it is. Don't say umbrellas in Georgetown.
Yeah.
Remember where you live.
So
Yeah,
if we
that wouldn't
did
be
parking spaces and added a couple picnic tables, what's the cost of that? $30,000?
25,000.
25,000. So you wanna plug that in there just for right now?
Right, for right now,
Yeah.
kind of as
So
a,
let's just put 25 in there.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a key spot. We're doing so much in Argentine all the way through. The more nicer we can make it, give people to the storage or account, the better. What do you think, Rich?
Great.
Awesome. You're kind of looking at me, so.
I think it's a good idea.
Just to do something, and then in the bigger picture, you know, things might adjust or change. And then any other comments on, let's see, what we have to. Events parking multi-use, that's down in the future. North Argentine Park, that's way out there. Parks truck replacement, okay, general fund plans.
My approach in setting this up on the timeline was I figured that when the Parks Commission met, their number one priority was the skate park. But because it's gonna be between $1 and $2 million, it would be smart to put that off in 27, so we can prepare for it and get the grants lined up for that. And then in the meantime, in 26, I wanted to knock off as many of the smaller projects as we could.
Right.
And get them taken care of before we tie up all this money on the skate park. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Oh, 100%.
All right, Amanda.
Hi, sorry, Elaine.
No worries. And we're just going through the
Just like
parks
it was on-
budget.
Just a side note on the skate park is, since, is the special district gonna help with the fundraising on that? The one in Georgetown too, or they got one down there in Idaho Springs and they're good. Has that been a point of discussion, Cameron, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cameron was, well, I wouldn't say she would love to be involved with it, because it was in the same amount of work, but I think she would be involved with helping through the whole process. I could discuss it more with her, but I'm kind of with Dennis on holding it off, because it's a long process if we're gonna get the funding, and you want the funding for that.
And it would be a would it be many fewer people using it than in Idaho Springs? Because in Idaho Springs, they seem to get a huge draw. Would we have the same? Is it worth this money?
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth the money.
Okay.
We'll get the draw here because although it's closed, it's not for the kids. Like my own kids, they would be using this one every day through the season
Okay,
instead of like they're maybe once a week at best, if not once every couple of weeks.
so it
it's
would be
not
a
that
local,
close.
local.
Yeah, I think we have enough kids locally here too. I
Okay.
mean, skating, as long as it stays at least a little bit popular. But also too, I mean, it's, skating, if you design it right, you get skating, you get the BMX bikes, you get the scooters, as long as they all play nice
it's
together.
gonna be an attraction where people are going to be coming to it that are not necessarily local, so when it's
So-
planned,
Yeah,
we also need to plan for the impact and the parking.
for sure.
Cause if you're into that, oh, there's a new place, you're gonna wanna go and check it out.
Well, yeah, look at Spiral Springs, but also something to think about. We've been to the skate park over in, Frisco? And going with that one, it's amazing how many guys I've skated with, but that was their first time there. And so I've only gone a half a dozen times, but there's always new people there that are coming from elsewhere. Obviously, it's a little bit different. But people passing through, hey, our kids are here doing the mountain bike stuff, because they've got a lot of stuff over there. So it's like, if we could utilize that, but parking will always be, because look at Idaho Springs with the biking. Skating's not an issue because where it's at, but now we're starting to see more people park there for biking and then biking over, which is kind of
The
cool.
UTAP students just completed their project also, and they'll be sending out some physical copies. You'll get in your box, so you'll have a preview of, and again, that's just a vision, not like a concrete architectural.
So the skate park numbers that are in the budget, are we okay with those as they are? We've got 50,000 for this year and then $1 million and $1 million, and again, that's for who knows, and that's the future, but are we happy with these numbers in the budget right now in this capital plan, or?
I just don't think that you're gonna get much done extra with it, but I don't know like how much that cost, right? I mean,
It's
it's,
like plan,
We're talking
The thing
design
is,
for next year.
the thing is, you may have to go, if you're going for a grant funded process, and they just completed the one just down the street, then some of those same funding sources are gonna be like, no, we just did one in Idaho Springs, we
Exactly.
need to do this one in Walsenburg
Or
first.
something.
So like, if you're gonna go for a grant funded primarily, and that's to come up with $2 million in Georgetown, it's gonna be primarily grant funded.
Yeah. Well,
Then-
also, too, I mean.
Then you have to kind of look at the cycle of when some of those funds that were, and grants, especially larger ones that funded the one down the street, when it would be more realistic to be able to actually access those funds.
So that's why, yes, and that's why I spread that grant money out over 2 years. 300 and 300.
Yeah.
And you look at this and you think, we're gonna start building the skate park in 27, but we might start building it in 28. We just have already allocated $1 million in 1 year and then $1 million the next year. And so my hope is by 28, we get a grant approval for $600,000 for this. And I think that fits with what you're saying, Rich.
Yeah, it's just like going to the well too often. To
Right.
the same people,
One also, too, think about this, I mean, it's, if you take that skate park there, and you said it, Rich, I mean, people are going to it, it's new, and people will keep going to it. But after a couple of 2 or 3 years with that park, they're used to those same features, they're gonna want something new, that's,
And
you know, it's like.
I think having it here would be a good idea. I'm just looking at the money, is 50,000, like, would that be something that, does it cost that much to put a grant together for the following year? I mean, that's what I'm looking at. Does it need 50 or is 50 good, or is 25 good, or?
50 is gonna be the design work for.
Okay, so that's what we need.
Staff will manage the grant applications.
Okay, so that's good. So are we happy then with this?
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to Cameron and see more, because with the design and stuff, who's doing the design, how efficient the design is. And part of it too is with that part there, it's loose on what's beginner friendly. And to me, it's like, you need something more beginner friendly, and that would help be a sell for our park here. It needs to be more for the littler kids. Their features are big there. When the kids fall in that, you're not getting up real quick.
And
So,
then, yeah, and
There's
there's,
some key stuff that goes in with that.
Like Roland Park, big dogs and little dogs.
Yes.
But we're
The
fixing
bottom
it.
up.
and then as a reminder, you will, the same time next year, 26, you will probably have the design in your hand. And you will be able to modify this million and million. You can change it.
you
Yeah.
have to have a realistic
Yes.
thing, and that's all I'm saying is we gotta be cognizant of when we're going to the well, to who, and
Well, does that cover the
Making
whole,
sure-
like,
otherwise-
the whole area of what's gonna go in there too? I mean, is that for design for like that whole area there?
Mm.
It's just for the park?
The other items that they have programmed for this area is a restroom, which is probably another 700,000 if you're gonna do one that's not like a.
Porta potty.
A pit.
Mhm.
If it's connected to the sewer system, it's gonna be expensive. I'm trying to remember what else. There was parking involved, there was. There was a seating area with umbrellas. And there was.
Did somebody come watch you for that?
Yes. And as Kate said, they're finalizing, the students are finalizing their plan now, and they'll have that for you. But keep in mind that the students are, and they're designing the area out by the lake too, right? And they're designing,
More umbrellas.
yeah, huge umbrellas. That'll lift up whole houses.
I love it.
Excellent,
But
that's good.
they're also designing this with a lack of understanding on this part of the process. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's the dream.
It's the dream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's key stuff.
they're designing more of a vision.
Correct, yeah. And it'll be our job to rein that in into a practical project.
Sure.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Done with parks? Okay, I also wanted to note one thing. I have $18,000 programmed as an annual lease payment for this vehicle. We've made progress because we are partnering with Colton over at the county. They already have a fleet plan in place. And so we have made contact with their fleet leasing agents, Unified Fleet Services. And they sent me a very early proposal that shows the cost per vehicle between $8,000 and $10,000 a year. So that will be significantly less when we get the final proposal, I think. So we might modify that down from 18 to a much lesser amount. And that's gonna apply to all of these CIP areas.
So for that, why would we, remind me, why would we have it each year? Especially for parks vehicles.
So this 18,000 in the Parks Department for 26 is the annual lease payment for one vehicle.
Right,
It will be the same the next year, that's why there's another 18 there, same vehicle, same lease payment, just in the second year. And then in the third year, the same thing. If you go to.
so it's not adding to the fleet, it's just the continuation of the existing, correct?
Correct,
Paying the
so
rent.
in the third year, which is the
Okay,
target year. That's where most of these vehicles show a positive residual value. And you then have the option to trade that in for a new lease, but that would be another same identical lease payment. So that's why this is going to be an $18,000 payment going forward annually.
but so we're talking about reducing it to between 8 and 10.
Right,
In a
correct.
perfect world.
So then if you go to the next one we want to talk about, which is Road and Bridge, you'll see that the first year is 18. Second year is 36, because now that becomes two vehicles that we're running into the program. And then that remains 36 because we're always going to be rotating two vehicles in Road and Bridge. And I don't have any in the facilities, but we talked about the utilities last time. It's the same thing. So there's a vehicle, I think, in sewer, and then there's two vehicles, I think, on the water side, because that gets the most use. And you'll see a 1836 forever out.
But so we're gonna reduce this based on
The county.
the
What?
county,
On what the proposal comes from Unified, yeah.
right,
And I'm guessing it's gonna be between $8,000 and $10,000 a year.
okay.
Plus, we are also asking them to lease vehicles that are pickups and not all heavy duty. Like 350 diesels or anything like that, that the county has on their fleet list.
What's that sort of annual mileage?
I think that they were quoting around 12,000 miles, which is
Yes,
far,
that's for the lease. I'm talking about what are we actually doing?
we do about 8.
Okay.
Municipal vehicles get a lot of wear and tear, but it's just not the mileage that puts on the wear and tear.
You have to sit still.
And running, yeah. Sitting at the donut shop, no. Okay. Road and Bridge.
For cars would go by, speeders.
So the issue we talked about with Main Street rehab was the location of that and then how the project that was done just a few years ago. And I went out there and took a look at the roadway. And it is true that the road between 14th and 15th looks pretty good to me, and there isn't much of an issue, but 14th in this project area is prone to failing, and it looks like it's failing at this point already, even though the asphalt itself isn't breaking up. So even though this is a 25 project, it's going in conjunction, it's going with a sewer project. And I feel like if the board would like to move this off 1 year, we could do that. Both projects.
The sewer project and this?
Yes, I think they must go together.
Okay.
But those could go into 27.
I think so. And the deterioration would be slow enough
No,
that you
you
would,
think a push up a
Oh,
year.
actually off to 27,000.
yeah, push the Main Street rehab of 125 and then the utility sewer main replacement for the same project, we could push that off 27. That would put do two things. It would put less stress financially on the town next year, but also might also offer opportunities for us to substitute another project.
So where's the sewer project? Is that showing up on facilities?
No, it'll be in the utilities. You got done with that last.
We looked at that,
Okay, thank you.
so the entire 180 for sewers that we looked at last meeting will go to 2027?
No, just the Main Street. Is there a Main Street?
That's the only
Sewer.
one that has any verbiage to it looks like it, the sewer main replacement, which is 180,000, only speaks about the aging sewer main between 13th and 15th Street.
Right.
Okay,
So
I don't have, I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me, but if that's the only project for 26 and the sewer side. I thought we had blowers and,
Well,
Yeah,
but those are
blowers,
separate,
but they were
those
separate.
are different line items on the CIP.
I don't
yes,
have those.
So we're
so
not worrying about the blowers, we're just talking about the sewer main.
just the sewer main replacement, moving that
So
to seven.
moving that over.
But we still wanna go forward with the other replacement projects that Eric talked about next year.
So the sewer main replacement.
Mhm.
Would it be sensible to keep back a small amount just in case there's an emergency? And we say that it's deteriorating a little bit,
For
but
the road,
yeah,
we have that accounted for in our road and bridge budget. With routine maintenance, we could go out there and do pothole repair, we could add that to our asphalt plan for next year, we could cut out a section and replace it. Most of these issues are gonna be caused by your subbase failing. And that happens when you get a lot of water under the asphalt, and so only time is gonna tell us without us digging it up to investigate. So the answer to your question is, Alec, yes, we do that, but it's in the general, it's gonna be in the general fund budget. Were there any other questions that lingered from last time's discussion on the road and bridge CIP, or is there something that's come up since then that we might want to discuss?
I don't think we dug into road and bridge, because we had Eric here talking about utilities, and then road and bridge got pushed back to tonight,
Right.
and we anticipated a new road and bridge supervisor to be here to help promote some of his plans. So he never got into road and bridge last time.
Okay. I guess my only note on that is probably because of what we discussed in the utility and why the Main Street rehab came up for road and bridge. I just had notes that the road and bridge rehab should be looked at and reevaluated on whether we could delay it.
What's the next one down? Muscovite, Flatiron, Bluebird Alliance.
Okay, I'll go through this list one at a time. So the Muscovite, Flatiron, Bluebird Alliance Street issues are all grading and stormwater related. Currently, we have flooding issues, and in heavy rains, a lot of the roadway gravel will be washed down to the lower elevation. We are currently engaging Haley Aldrich to complete an engineering study on the stormwater for those 4 roadways. And based on their recommendation, I'm anticipating a $75,000 project to address those. The early initiative is to install culverts where necessary, and then to do a regrading of all of those roadways so that they drain water correctly into the basins they're supposed to be doing, which they currently do not. The next project on there is the Biddle Street grade reconfiguration. I've heard from more than a couple of residents on Biddle Street that over time, the regrading of Biddle has caused the roadway not to drain correctly. So that is again another storm drain issue
Where on Biddle?
from the bridge right here,
Yeah.
all the way down to the end towards 15th Street.
Okay, but it goes past that too.
Yeah, it
So are
does.
we talking?
We're gonna-
Ending it at 15?
We're gonna include the whole thing in the design, but I don't anticipate much work having to go beyond 15th Street. The,
And Biddle doesn't go past 15.
oh, I'm thinking of Main.
Yeah.
So the whole street we're going to look at, but we only,
Goes past me. Our bill goes past 15, so.
Yeah,
Doesn't-
yeah.
Biddle dead ends after, so I live at 11th and Main. If I go to Biddle, it goes one more block and then it dead ends. It's like a log house up there.
I'm talking 15.
I'm talking Biddle.
If you go up 15,
Yeah, yeah.
There's another Biddle?
you can make a right down Biddle and go, you can still go down several housing.
Boy, I don't know. That's
Hang on,
beyond
I'm
me
gonna-
then.
so
Anyway.
regardless, this is all gonna be determined by the engineering report that we get.
And so they're doing, report is taking place this year for us, so will we have that report when, so we can maybe even crunch these numbers a little bit? I mean, I realize we won't have gone out to bid on any of them, but,
I was hoping to have it by December, before you adopt this budget.
Okay.
But I can't guarantee that.
So looking here, just so we're, already, so we have Biddle here. Right, so you want this whole stretch
Minus the private property.
minus,
Yes,
okay,
I want that to be designed by the engineer, and then the trouble spots where we have to do work would fall under this project.
okay.
The issue with, over time, it's been described to me by many, many people, over time, the grading hasn't been the best. And more gravel and more millings have been added to that area, and it just keeps building up. The infrastructure that's underground there has been changed elevation wise over time too.
You're talking about like where the new houses are, and then it dips down and goes back up to
That's
the
part
private
of it,
property.
that's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, like trying to fix that, and then on the other side of that going up also.
Yes, yes,
That is kind of a mess.
yes. They
I can
call
see
it
it being more-
Biddle Lake, somebody told me they call it Biddle Lake.
so does any of that,
So yeah, that's Biddle. Just
my
that.
eyes aren't that good.
Yeah.
Here, you gotta come see this on my phone.
I can make mistakes, so.
That would make the difference in how.
Yeah, because some of that washes down too, but Max lives on the corner there, all that washes down real bad. You guys want to take care of that.
Yeah, any of this part, mitigation to my.
So Biddle dead ends.
Some of that, that's what I, that's what I was thinking about. Is,
It's this part right here,
right,
because that's the big dip with the new houses. And then that's the open area down by Mark's house. Mark's is
Yeah.
right here and Matthew's is right here. So this road right here washes out a lot real bad
It's terrible up
from
there.
that, yeah,
Biddle's bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a big dip right here with the new houses right here. There's just a dip right there where it goes up and then down to.
but some of this part on Biddle is actually
Yeah, it'd be, this,
belongs to Capital Prize.
it's right.
Well, that's.
Well, not belongs to.
Well, he owns this. He owns this to here, from here to here. He's got signs there now. So it's this little turn
So
off
the
right here.
50,000 that's in the budget,
What-
can I ask a question about this?
But that's
Is
the
that
highest
for
spot.
planning or for the
And
work?
then it goes down, so I don't
With
know, like,
engineering.
if he's having a parts off, that it's the side street, the maxes, and that's an issue on him. Which that'd be worth checking into.
No, ownership is the right. Now, that was part of our.
Well, remember, Mark, so that
They're
road
right
is
of way.
divided in half. And then what is Matthew's house now used to own that, but then Mark gave it up before he sold it. To,
Right, but we also had litigation on other parts of that, so I.
but I thought, am I correct on that?
Remember, we owned the,
He got the road, he got that section of road out of that,
Yes.
but that part that goes
He's gonna
north,
Close it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's, he put signs on the part.
We did.
Yeah, we
He
maintain.
wanted to close it, but I think we were right. Anyway,
That's the
Okay.
only thing there. I-
so pretty much all the bills.
So this 50,000 is going to be at least engineering. But it also could, depending on what the bid comes in for the engineering work, which I don't think is gonna be extensive. It's a gravel road, it's gonna be a lot of elevation shots and stuff like that. So there might be money still in there for us to begin the actual construction but we'll see how that goes. I'm in the dark on this one. I don't know how that's gonna play out. Storm drainage is a tough thing.
Can I ask kind of like a loaded, and I apologize in advance if it's like a stupid question in this regard. Is it worth having, and I don't know what the cost would look like, these guys do like a full engineering plan of every single road in town as opposed to piecemealing them?
Would be awesome.
Like, I
it
mean,
would be amazing.
like, is that, like, I mean, I recognize I may be asking for something that's like Powerball budget, but like, if we went through and actually like rated every single road from like first to 22nd, I guess, is our
Remember
last.
that, oh, you weren't there. We had a retreat a couple years ago, and that was the bump report that was recommended to
Right.
us. and it
So, okay, so
suggested
I'm not
about
just like
$100,000.
talking
No,
out of my,
no,
No,
No, it would make sense because none of our roads are engineered from what I understand.
And
No, that was a problem on,
I'm just throwing it out because I think it's awesome that we obviously know like these big problem spots, but there are a couple things that stand out. First off, Biddle is obviously a really important road. But I mean, if we think about the traffic that's coming down Rose Street, for example, where there's super very obvious damage to the road, like really from Fourth to Eighth, it's totally cracking. And it's gonna become a huge problem for us. I won't say Third, I live on Third, but Third isn't exactly a picnic. We've got some drainage issues up there. We have all the roads over the Third Ward that are the real high ones that come off Saxon. So I'm not deprioritizing this, but I'm just putting it out there as if we could push $50,000 into a larger study that would maybe yield us more results as opposed to doing a smaller study. Just an observation.
Okay, my only response to that would be that I think we're talking about two different things.
Fair enough.
So one thing that we have talked about internally is implementing a pavement road rating system. The system I'm used to working with is called PASER. And many counties road commissions throughout the country, it's a software database where you go in and you actually say, okay, Rose Street from blank to blank, and you give it a rating on a bunch of different measurements. They have nothing to do with storm drainage. It's all basically just road condition.
Got it.
And so what this is attempting to do is plug some holes in the storm water problem, and Mary can attest to this, and every time we have a heavy rain, Road and Bridge spends 2 weeks cleaning up gravel
Oh, yeah.
to go dump it up at the top of the hill again for 2 weeks later to throw them down.
Oh, no, no.
I'm trying
In
to
my
address
driveway.
these two.
For the record, in my driveway, sorry.
Yes, so
That's
that's
how
how
you say, yeah, no, you're effectively.
And
that helps us, because we can go to just Mary's house and scoop it all up.
Okay.
But these two projects, I think, are time sensitive because we don't want these issues to continue. They're problematic. But you are correct. We should be doing some stormwater analysis going forward beyond these two problem areas. The other issue that started on the second day I was employed here was, don't you ever talk about converting any of these gravel roads over to asphalt, Dennis. You're not allowed to do that.
Oh.
And I think that that is part of the issue with a lot of these drainage problems. So, a study that you were talking about could also incorporate where should we be converting these gravel roads over to pavement to extend their life, to provide better quality of life for our residents, and how we can manage stormwater better. That's a very in-depth conversation.
Well, also too, off of what you're saying, no, and that is the problem, because areas that probably should have been paved yet, because they were never engineered correctly, and now that they are paved, we have a nice road. It's almost becomes scary if we go back to do that, because we're gonna find more problems.
100%, and it was just an observation, and I appreciate you entertaining it, we will continue on with the work study, but
No, so
This is good.
we're looking at a 5-year plan here, let's pencil in some of this thought process. Maybe it doesn't hit us in 27, but maybe it hits us in 28, when we are making progress here, that we should be planning for that study, so that we're prepared for that.
it's undoubted, beyond, I mean, I'm not a road expert, but I would
But
say.
it has to get done. It
I
has to
would say
get
it's
done.
pretty likely that we don't have a huge lifespan on the high traffic. Specifically, roads is probably the most pervasive. I mean, if you look at just the overall condition of it, it's showing its wear, and it's the most highly traveled road in the town, so it makes sense, I mean, beyond Argentine.
Taos is no charm either.
No,
You
Taos
know,
isn't.
So I'd rather see some funds here pointed out. So that we can, or maybe we don't do the study all over town in 27, maybe we do half the town, and then the other half 2028, and then we got a plan, and we've got the priorities kind of thing.
I'm gonna jump on this while the iron's hot, and I've got you all in the same place on this. I think 27 should be your analysis, because
Do it.
you delay the analysis, you would delay the construction, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'd say, if I thought we could handle it in 26, because we have a long list here. I would say do it now, do it as soon as January starts, let's get an engineer working on this stuff. But I would rather get the money and the time of staff focused on these two problem areas in 26.
Fair enough.
And then do the analysis in 27, And I would say you would even wanna put 100 grand on that, because it's gonna be an expensive project for an
And
engineer.
we might even wanna carry it through to 2028 too,
Yeah.
because if it was 100,000, if it was suggested to us 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that it was gonna be 100 grand, we know it's gonna be more now. I'd rather, we've identified a couple of areas, let's have some resolution, because at some point, we're gonna do a study, and by the time we get around to it, it's gonna be worse than it was for the study,
That's right.
and, you know, and the
Well,
study
also
will be
too-
useless.
Right, and also too, to catch, I mean, is there potential problems there because it was never engineered correctly?
That's right.
Oh, yeah,
Like that's what is really concerning, because I would have rather spent that money on the study and done it right than already have it in, you know, it's nice having it there, but. What kind of problems is that gonna create down the road?
Okay, then I'll recommend then in 28, you actually you insert a project that's gonna be a placeholder. And it's gonna be called stormwater improvements, and I would say you put in 300 or 400,000.
so are we on road and bridge, or are we on utilities, and if it's stormwater, where are we putting that in?
We're putting in your own bridge.
Okay, that's.
What was the number? 200?
I would say 300 or 400, depends on your preference at the moment, keeping in mind you can change that next year.
I
or
put the
year
bigger
after.
number in there and let's just, just go with the bigger number.
Okay,
And yeah, we're gonna modify that after we've done
Yeah.
the study, so you're putting in 100,000 in 27 and 28 for,
I'm putting 100,000 in for the analysis in 27, then I'm doing 428 for the actual improvements that will come from that analysis.
okay,
But keep in mind, I'm hoping that we can get these two problem areas done next year, is
Mhm.
what I have programmed here.
right,
I don't think, in talking with Haley Aldridge and also when Scooter was here and Mickey, I don't think that that's gonna take a lot of work to do those. I think it's just kind of it's winding the clock back to where the road was optimum instead of what has happened over years and adding gravel.
I think there was horse and buggies here when the roads were optimum.
Yes, okay. Okay,
so Upper Loop Drive,
The old pictures of the roads, they look so nice, actually.
I know, and I wasn't being as hard on
so look, can we finish the rest of these though?
it.
Okay, so anything else on Road and Bridge?
What's street sweeper? Is that buying a new street sweeper, just what it sounds like?
yes.
Okay.
But it's a mini street sweeper with multi-functions to it, and we currently have two. One doesn't work at all, it's inoperable, and the other one is maintenance heavy and it's old, so getting rid of both of those and buying a brand new one. We are even investigating moving that into a lease program too, so that we don't have to pay the full 160 in the first year.
But that's like a big boy street sweeper that actually works?
No, it looks like a, I can actually grab the pamphlet out of my folder, I'll bring it to you so you can see. So talk amongst yourselves while I'm.
Just a little guy, just a little guy, he's cute. We've got little sleeves.
I thought we were gonna do something with that roundabout on, was it 22nd?
Yeah, I thought that roundabout was gonna get fixed or.
I'm gonna
We don't-
take a sledgehammer and knock out some of that.
Take out any more
Concrete.
gotcha pants.
Yeah,
As soon as it gets icy, someone's gonna take the bottom of their car out.
There.
And those,
Yeah,
The
it's the
concrete that's
snow that
sticking up.
covers it, that.
so
gets
let's
the-
ask about that when Dennis comes
Yeah.
back.
Good call, Rich, I forgot about that.
no, I still wanna be on the video where the selectman is taking a sledgehammer and knocking some of that concrete out. This be on the news. Before someone gets killed on concrete.
Rich is
My
wondering
point
if
is
the
it doesn't
status
go on a
of
track,
the
it's
roundabout,
got a-
on 22nd for next year.
Getting that fixed.
So we have an intermediate solution that we think, we built in the aprons of the road with millings along Argentine. And those culverts were supposed to work as drainage culverts. And so we are considering pulling out some of those millings so that we can address the ponding issue that's up there. The roundabout itself has to be redesigned too by an engineer. So we can't just go
Take it out.
cut the curbs down and take it out. We have to actually have an engineer say, here's what we think the appropriate fix to that roundabout would be.
How about a stop sign?
So the roundabout was, as I was told, the roundabout was installed because the town didn't want to install.
I thought
a
that's
three-way
just the
stop.
CDOT
It
stuff.
was a traffic calming device
Yeah.
to slow down
Right,
What
traffic.
about a speed bump?
It is a speed bump, actually. If you go straight over it, it becomes quite an effective.
I guess that's, I never
speed bump.
thought about that.
I just, wasn't it saying with CDOT in the,
There,
cause that was a big CDOT grant.
that was a big project with CDOT that Cindy Neely was a part of, and
Right.
we.
so there's a difference between these projects that you can observe. So the CDOT project was responsible for the roundabout by the Circle K, the beautiful, well-designed roundabout. The other roundabout was not a CDOT project. It was designed locally. Yes, but it was designed locally.
Right.
So Banky, for example, wants that fixed soon because his vehicles get stuck. So Banky came and talked to me and said, I have a plan, and he scribbled it on a piece of paper. And when he was done, I said, there's no way I can do it with that. I have to have somebody that is engineering this thing for a permanent solution, right? And the big deal was the stormwater is not being handled correctly, and it's partially aggravated by what the town has done to fill those culverts.
So we're gonna dig that back up.
We're gonna dig it out, and we're gonna allow the culverts to function as they were designed. And I talked to Cindy about that, and she completely agrees with me that yes, this is what it was originally designed to do. And if you just could take out some of the millings, you could solve a lot of stormwater ponding issues. But it doesn't solve the tight radius of the roundabout.
Right. How much right of way do we have that hasn't been improved around that the mini roundabout? That it could be enlarged for a better swing? I don't.
So you see the sidewalk that's on the west side of the roundabout, on the I-70 side, is bumping up to CDOT's right of way right there. So we can't take the sidewalk and move it 20 or 30 feet. That's not gonna happen. What we can do is we can relocate the sidewalk. It can cross over earlier on Argentine, further south, to the microtel side, and we could run the sidewalk or the pedestrian facilities on that side, and then gain some space over on the I-70 side to enlarge the roundabout turn radius.
But the I-70 side of the sidewalk is actually considered more of a bike path that does the whole.
Yeah, now you understand the complexity of what I think I'd be more comfortable with an engineer saying, here's your permanent solution, than
So where is that in here?
it's not in there yet. I have to do the engineering first.
So where is our budget for that in here?
The engineering.
It's in the current budget. I have money in the current budget.
So 2025, we can still pull that up.
Yes, we can pull off a plan.
What kind of liability do we have when someone comes around that thing and it's just a little bit icy, where that bus took out some of the concrete? There's peaks of like 5-inch peaks in that concrete that's gonna,
For the design like DIA.
well, that's gonna take out someone's car, that whole undercarriage, or maybe actually someone get hurt. So what kind of liability do we have if we leave it like it is with the, not even doing anything with that
Should
broken
those be
concrete?
ground down?
The same liability that we had when we finished the project and opened it up for public use, no different. So we're currently living with that liability. I can't quantify if it's another $1 million in coverage that we need or anything like that. I can't say. I just know that, was it my interview or was it my first week that it snowed in the,
I think it was your first week because I was.
Yeah. and the mariachi.
You're done. This is Mary, one of your selectmen. Guess what?
Yeah,
But can we take a sledgehammer and knock off the high parts of that thing so someone doesn't
Oh, what's up?
get?
we could, it's been discussed, yes, we could. I just have no idea, not being a traffic engineer, what other impacts that might have by grinding that down, you know what I mean? Because as soon as you grind it down, it becomes a thoroughfare again, straight thoroughfare. And I don't know what the ramifications of that are. And I'm not gonna with confidence say, hey, let's do that. I'd have to do some checking.
Okay, so we have money in the 25 budget for that, for the engineering
Yes.
idea. Okay.
So
But not to for any fix
No,
for
not
next year.
So should,
I don't know what the fix is gonna be.
Well, if we have $125,000 from Main Street Rehab, I would hope it's gonna be less than that. Cause we're gonna push that project out to 27. As was discussed, so wouldn't it be hypothetical that we could pull from that?
but that's a different
And do
process.
something with that.
But that's way
engineering
out
that we're
there.
paying for.
Pardon?
And then we can do something next year with the engineering we're paying for now.
That's what, I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
So if it was me, because I have not, I'm shooting in the dark here, I would just take the 125 and call that the roundabout project.
Right.
And if it comes in at 50, then we have money, we can reassign to another project. If it comes in at 100, then we're covered. Is that fair?
So we're gonna change, so we're gonna keep 125 for the roundabout, and we're still gonna do a Main Street rehab for 125 in 2027.
Correct.
Okay,
And are we gonna, once you get the engineering, that'll determine whether you even need a three-way stop or a roundabout in there?
Because if you wanted me to put my life on the line and bet on this, the easy, inexpensive solution is to convert it back to a three-way stop.
it was
Right,
never
right.
I
three-way
was gonna
stop.
say.
No, it was just a
It
one-way
was just,
stop.
it was
But
just
that's, you
27.
still have your
It was
traffic
a no
control.
stop, it was just driving through and they were trying to
So
solve.
it still would have your
meters, right?
traffic control, because they have to stop there, and,
roundabouts are amazing, like
That one's
we just,
just tight.
it's just that one's really tight, it's just.
Honestly, in that position, in that situation, now, if you.
My
put a
small,
three-way stop-
my Jeep waits around.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, though, for that though, it would have just been a three-way stop, it would have been easy
Maybe
and
7
done,
minutes.
but.
But a three-way
The past-
stop's also gonna create,
No, but the
when I
past
seventy
argument-
backed up, I can see why you wouldn't want a three-way stop there.
That's exactly why you want it there though, because people would do 100 until they have to do 10.
But it
There's
can't.
Or they stop in front of your house.
So,
But they don't stop away, but they make an effort sometimes.
If you know what, we're
they
talking about
try.
specifically talking about winter, when everyone starts to access the frontage road when I-70 stop.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's when you would not wanna have a three-way stop there, that would
You
be,
need a roundabout.
that would be a nightmare, that would just be like, it would just, yeah, I mean,
Think more along the lines though, that the whole, speed and the calming is the right approach or a better approach. Because as Argentine gets improved there with the commercial on the other side, and here we're talking about the results of the charrette and all the improvements on that and the park on the other side, we want that area.
For
We
sure.
don't want it to look like a thoroughfare, we almost want it to look like a side street.
Yeah.
You do really.
If the board is supportive of enhancing that roundabout, I'm gonna call it an enhancement. And then I get excited about the idea of another second beautiful roundabout down in that area of town that looks similar to the one that's down by 15th Street. And that could really be a cool project and solve a problem.
So we
So,
put an ore cart right in the middle of it, that'll stop those.
Well, so, but here's the thing, Mary, I feel a point there. That where my wife grew up at, all those little towns over there. Every time you go into a town, instead of just moving a blast in like you can here, there's offsets. So like if you're going to town, they just offset, it could be the same with the street, they just make it so you have to offset, which forces you to slow down some. Which are little speed bump things that are still down on roads, those actually work better than a stop sign. People actually slow down and work for those, and they stop
They do.
sign. But I get it, plowing sees it, it changes it, but.
is it, well,
we have to do
maybe,
something.
this isn't like the word, I mean, is there something that we could put on there? That for when it's snow covered, that would draw attention to it,
Christmas
like-
tree.
a tree, I don't know, anything, like something like a temporary fix, cause it won't be done by this winter. Is there a mini temporary fix that could go out there just to draw attention to the fact that there's something coming and you don't wanna hit it with your car?
Yes.
Go around the circle.
Do you have any old cars you could park on?
An ore cart, no, I don't have any ore
I'll
cart.
have-
I like the old
What did you
old
think?
cars.
I'll have a recommendation for you on the 25th.
might be a police vehicle you could set right on.
Yes, just sit it right there and make it spin with its lights on.
Probably have one that's
Okay,
not
okay,
running.
okay.
Hey, bro.
I have an Eldorado.
Yeah.
Are you still driving it?
Okay, there's only 5 minutes left. Do you wanna dig into the facilities or do you wanna start that up on Tuesday?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way.
I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, then I would ask that you do a couple of things between now and Tuesday. You would look through the facilities, and if you have any questions or suggestions, send them to me. And then also I've distributed to you the water and sewer funds budgets for you. Same thing. If you have any questions or anything about these two budgets before Tuesday, please email me. You will be receiving a full budget booklet or notebook on Friday. That'll have all the general fund and other funds included in it, so you have time to do that homework before Tuesday. And everything then will be in that booklet for you, okay? Okay, thank you for this.
Great,
You're giving me-
thank you.
You're giving me lots of money to spend on capital, that's good. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes, so we start at 6 o'clock, if people need to take a break.
Harry's got some homemade fudge.
That's something.
It's really good.
It's not good, This one is
Good.
You get your piece.
I'm gonna have a piece.
You know, instead of wearing.
These are the ends of the, this is pretty.
Brace, like next year, you want to be minister.
I don't think these, that's actually light bulb, I thought that was really.
Bust up like the artist.
Oh, I'm not.
Some martial arts.
Sorry.
When they talk. Sorry.
Well, they.
So it's, I mean, in the spring. Set up 16, two buildings.
The one that's in needed.
Yeah, but it's neat, we're just not that time.
Hey, Terry.
It's all right.
Anyone walks in, we're happy.
I guess I can make.
Yeah, we need more of those.
So we should do it.
Yeah, if we get a break, yeah, that'd be fine. Okay, we have 2 minutes. We don't want to. Exactly. Thank you for acknowledging.
3 days, 3 dogs, 1,800 miles. That's it.
You made it.
We made it, so we've done this. Nice.
I heard.
Just check with me about half hour.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday and today. I got it at like 3:30.
Right. So she Oregon.
Good, how are you doing? Good,
No, I can't just solve this.
that's good.
British version.
I know, we got up, we got dressed, we got out of the house. These are good things.
It's been actually so pleasant. Just been.
It's been a little too nice.
It's like,
I know.
supposed to get up, we like 60 degrees every day, and I'm.
What's out of the?
This.
Yeah, it's all.
Like, yeah, we'll start again for lunch, for sure.
Thank you, everybody. Will you all please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So it is 6 o'clock PM on November 11, and I'm calling to order this regular board meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Georgetown. We will now do the roll call. Mary Smith. Here. Rob Connell.
Here.
Amanda Cooper.
Here,
Dwayne Kaczynski.
Here.
Alex Sassoon.
Yeah.
Rich Barrows.
Here.
Thank you. Everyone is present. You have your agenda in front of you. Does anyone have any comments or changes on to the agenda as presented? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Amanda and Dwayne. Thank you. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Thank you. The agenda is approved. Members of the audience have 3 minutes to present any matter of interest not already on the agenda. Letters will be acknowledged, but will not be read aloud. Do we have members in the audience who would like to make a comment? Yes, when you stand, please say your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Right. My name is Donnie Cryer. I represent Arcticana, one of the winter driving experiences that this winter. This is Josh Tenby, my business partner. We just wanted to introduce ourselves. We know there's been a lot of change in the town, so I see a lot of new faces that I haven't met. And so we wanted to come say hi and meet everyone. And then we also wanted to sort of state kind of who we are. There's several clubs that race down the lake or drive down the lake. And we have worked with those clubs in the past, but a few years ago, we decided to start our own thing because we felt we could have a broader reach through our online presence, with our website and our media, using quality content that we get from Tom, who's one of your residents here. And then also just create a more well-rounded experience for the people who are coming, and to create a more visible and welcoming experience for people who are in the traffic on I-70. Like, we welcome those people to come and experience our events. And a lot of the other clubs are more exclusive. And so that's kind of been our goal. The other thing we want to be able to do is to create turnkey private events, which we did last year. But our turnkey private events are for people who see what's going on in Georgetown and they call in, and then the answer that they get is a lot of sort of more legal or technical stuff, like, well, you need to provide insurance and then get a permit for this date. And our goal is to take care of that for them completely. And not only that, taking care of the clerical work, but also providing our services of setting up a course for them to use so that they don't have to go out and set up their own course, maintaining that course throughout the day, and then also arranging accommodations and meals for them. We've worked with large groups from out of state, YouTubers, other like motor clubs who have come from Utah and other states to Georgetown, and we worked with Diane at Mount Mamas and Amanda at Cooper's and Sam and Lloyd at Clear Creek, to get them accommodations and get them food. We also work with just outside of Georgetown. We work with Amy with Feastly. She's the private chef that's up in Empire. So she's come in, she caters some of our events. So that's kind of what we're doing. In the past couple of years, we've had great communication with Georgetown in terms of scheduling, checking on dates that are available and getting permits and all of that. We've reached out a couple times this year, and so far, we don't know who's sort of handling like the calendar and all that, because we know you have a lot of changeover and different things going on. And so today we want to come and introduce ourselves and meet everyone and try to figure out like who should be our point of contact. We're currently working with some out-of-state groups in Utah and Indiana, and they kind of want to know like what dates are available. We have some dates already registered, but then there's some dates on the calendar that may still be available, but we don't have direct access to the calendar because it's sort of like a private calendar you keep in your clerk's office. So
It's very secret.
yeah, and so we need to know those dates so that we can offer them to these people who are coming from out of state, so that they can make arrangements. We try to get started sooner than later, because as you know, when winter comes, all of those accommodations fill up, and then other groups will have dinners at the different venues and you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's our goal, that's why we're here, and I hope that took 3 minutes or less.
I think you're good. I think you're good on time. What happens, we just hired a brand new marketing manager. So great timing, and Dennis, I think can they contact you and then you can put them in touch with Anna?
I would say keep contact with
With
Kate.
Kasia, and Kasia can get you in the right direction.
Yeah, and we've had multiple calls, and each time we've explained that we are currently revising the rules and the regulations for use of the ice, because in the past years, it's my understanding that there's been a lot of rule breaking, and it has impacted the other people that want to use the ice. So we're trying to fine tune those rules and regulations so that everybody's playing on the same level playing field. So we hope to have, I think we talked, right, Donnie, on the phone?
I haven't actually talked to you. No,
Well, then it might have been one of the other ice driving
Oh, that may be true.
groups. We want to make sure that we have that done before Thanksgiving so that everybody has those new rules, and the board is gonna have to adopt those rules, so we're
Okay.
planning on having that in front of them by the 25th.
Okay, yeah, if, like, I've been involved in ice racing for 15 years, Josh for I think 12. And if you have any questions,
We've been racing these against
We've been-
for 50 years.
we've been doing this for a very long time. I actually was president of our gang, one of their clubs for a few years.
Right.
So we have a lot of experience, and we work with Audi Club, BMW Club, Porsche Club, like I've instructed for all of them. And so I have a lot of experience throughout all of the events. So if you have any questions, or like, we put together a guide last year that we provided to Jess about all the different tires, types of tires, like a diagram that kind of shows, like, I'm happy to provide
you.
all that. Or if you're having a meeting and you just want some consultation, or I'm happy to do all of that.
Thank
Okay,
you. Well,
great.
Kasia will be your perfect point of
Okay.
contact, and you have her information?
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Kasia's been around at least from last year, so I know her pretty well.
That's good. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate you guys, and thank you for coming and letting us know what you're doing.
No problem.
Very interesting.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
Anytime.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. All right, any
You
other
don't have to
audience?
stay for this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Very
I mean,
exciting.
it's gonna get really rowdy.
Well, we might sit around for a minute if we get more bullied, but thank you for saying that. We don't wanna feel like we're like caged in here.
No.
Thank you. I don't see any other audience business, so we will move on to payables. You have in your packets the payables dated October 24 to November 6th. There's also a summary which Q has included in front of the payables. I did have a question, really. Did we have any feedback on the police department Comcast bill? Did we get any color on that yet at this point?
We have not gotten any from that from that.
Okay, thank you.
Have we canceled Comcast at that location? Our service, so that we aren't continuing to?
That's what
bill?
we're working on, yes.
But the longer we work on it, the longer we're responsible for paying a bill that we don't use.
I don't believe that. I think that what we're trying to do is get more money back from even before the conversation we had at the last meeting.
Okay. All right, so we'll just keep an eye ongoing. Thank you. Any other questions on the payables from anyone else? Okay, seeing no questions, do I have a motion to approve the payables as they are presented?
So moved.
Rich, and a second,
Second.
was Dwayne? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. The payables are accepted as presented, so thank you for that.
I just had one question.
Yes,
The easy ice on, it's the under maintenance general, is that just the winder or is? I know that they're also looking for a Zamboni.
The $6,000 for Easy Ice is just the full ice rink for the Fifth Street basketball.
Right.
Zamboni is not been worked with.
No, okay. No, we'll present that to the board for consideration at your next meeting. But thanks for filling the beans on that one, Ross.
Sorry. Just can't wait. When it comes to me as selectman, you can sit.
just have your life ready. Okay, so next item, we have minutes to be approved. The minutes are dated from our October 28, 2025 regular meeting. I did provide some comments and corrections to the town clerk. I think, Selectman, Smith did it as well. Bleh. And any other comments or questions or corrections on the minutes? Of course. Okay, do I have a motion
I'll make the
to,
motion to approve the regular scheduled meeting minutes on October 28th, 2025.
as corrected?
As corrected.
Thank you. A second?
So,
Alex? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Those minutes are accepted. You'll also notice in your packet that you have a meeting summary from our October 21 meeting. As I understand it, these summaries don't need to be approved, but they're in there for information. This is from the meeting when we met with the Georgetown Community School, and they did their great presentation, and that was so wonderful.
So cute.
Oh, it's so good. So first action item up, the linear park donation agreement. We have in our packet the various documents which we saw last time. And, okay, so Jerry, is that,
On the staff report.
thank you.
Yep. And, I got, this, today or yesterday, I've been out of town for a few days, so maybe it was early, but I don't think so. A minor revision to both of these, from, Max Stitch, who's doing that work for Kurt. I've got copies here in red line, and it's almost identical to what you have, but I think it'd be helpful if you had these, so here they are, those should be enough for everybody. 1, 2, 3. It's something other in this direction.
And this is all of them, Jerry, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
okay.
well, it's the donation. It's in construction.
I got one, Jim.
You did? But what about the, let's see it right?
There's the extra,
We're both good.
there's a couple extra, I think.
Okay, good, yeah, I need, and, so,
Here's some extra.
I want to know, there's really 3 agreements. There's a park construction equipment donation agreement, which was one over last time, as you might, recall. There is, as well, the, park development and maintenance agreement. And then there's what I call the real estate document whereby Kurt actually gives the profits to the town. That I didn't have any issues with or comments on last time, and I don't have any more today. But you had a pretty good discussion on both the park construction equipment donation agreement and the maintenance agreement last time. And I wanted to point out to you, most of the changes that are in the red line I just gave you are in the packet, but I think there's 1 or 2 that aren't. I just want to note those for you. Hopefully we'll be at the end of the discussion, be in a position to take motion to approve with such additional technical corrections as the town attorney requests. That's always a good fallback to have for little things that you don't care about. Let's take a park construction equipment donation agreement first. We'll fill in the actual dates once we know. But I want to take your attention to the second page, paragraph 5 on warranty. You'll notice in the red line, like I did add, and they picked that up actually in the version that's in your packets as well. But the handy part about the red line is it shows you the few things that we wanted to make happen, and you'll notice I've added 2 years warranty on landscaping materials. All right, everybody see that? We're all on the same page now. Good, okay, fine. So there's that. Insurance question. On insurance, I don't think that's in your packet version, but it's in the red line that you have in front of you, adding the towns and named insured on insurance policies, except for workers' comp, because that's not appropriate to the town in on that. The workers are working, they're not our workers. That's it for the park construction and equipment donation agreement, but if you keep paging in the version I gave you with the paper, or with the state aid, you get down to the exhibit or whatever the fine, and then you get to development and maintenance agreement. And the only issue here is on the second page. There's 45 minutes worth of discussion on this last time. And it is paragraph 3, the payment terms. As you recall, there's a $10,000 annual payment. The HOA is responsible for having that payment made. And you had a lot of discussion about, okay, going forward in time, how do we account for increases in our costs? And I tried pretty hard to see if somebody would make a motion and it got, and there would be 4 votes for it and it just didn't quite happen. But that's fine. And there are a number of things going on here. One was it was originally drafted to be every 5 years. And I requested it be annual. The red line you see is the red line that Max Stitch did in response to a message I sent to him after your meeting saying, Max, here's the only place where we've got some action. We need to work on this. And I communicated 2 things to him, and he's accomplished one, but not not the other. I don't think he meant to not include it. It's just, we probably need to discuss it. But what he has done here is made it annual. And I said it needs to be an annual COLA based upon the town's costs for maintenance of parks and its maintenance of its park. And he described it as the United States Department of Labor's cost of living adjustment. And I know there was a lot of discussion here last time about that. Should it be just 5% across the board, 5% per year? Should it be the PI? Should it be this that's shown here? When you think about it, even on $10,000, a 3% increase is not a lot of money annually. So I would encourage you to spend the amount of time discussing this that amount of money justifies. But it's up to you. As it's designed here, it's now annual, which I think is one of the things you wanted to have happen. That's been done. The measuring technique is a United States COLA. It's not a town of Georgetown generated COLA. If it were to be that, we would have to generate a COLA figure somehow. Staff would have to do that. Again, the difference might not be more than a few dollars, but I leave that to your discretion. I think from an annual adjustment standpoint, this is a tool that absolutely works and is probably in a reasonable ballpark. But you're the policymakers, you can decide if you agree with that. That's one thing to discuss. The only other thing to discuss on this, and then we're done with my opinion, all 2 agreements, is what about capital improvements? You recall there was a pretty healthy discussion and a reasonable one, I thought, about, well, okay, whatever this COLA is, it's fine, it's anything now, but on top of the 10,000, it might be 10,100 in the first year and whatever. But what about if there's a need for new playground equipment 10 years out? That's a real cost. And the social policy issue that you need to wrestle with, of course, is it will become a town park. And how much should that local neighborhood pay for that? Well, you've got the annual maintenance, certainly. Dennis suggested to me, and I suggested to Max, but it didn't make it into this. Look, if there's a major capital improvement as opposed to just O&M, which ought to be folded into this 10,000. The HOA should provide, the HOA should pay upon request and an invoice from the town documenting the cost, 10% of that capital improvement, with the remainder, was there 10%? With the remainder paid by the town. It will never be true that the town, the local community or that HOA will pay all the costs of maintenance and all the costs, because it's town park. At some point, by God, it's town park. But we felt that, and I agree with Dennis, that that's a good way to get a contribution that is proportionate to the social, if you will, obligation that maybe the local community has, but also proportionate to the fact town park and anybody can come. We want anybody to come.
Yeah.
If it's playground equipment, 10 years from now, we ought to be replacing it. It'd be nice to have 10% of it from the HOA. That's my report. Be happy to discuss and help you discuss and get a consensus on each of those 2 items. And then we can have it done with this.
Very good, thank you very much.
You want to take up the COLA part of it first?
Absolutely.
As written, does it work? What do you think?
I'm fine with it.
I think Colorado is higher than the national average, and so if we're going to base it on that, and I don't want to do a Georgetown COLA,
Yeah.
but we know everything else costs more here. And we're just gonna continue to see that for a while, and so I would rather have it a little bit more localized than.
Is there a Colorado COLA? That's.
No, it's a mountain region COLA. that we
Mountain
use
region
for-
COLA, maybe.
Cost of living adjustment.
We can use mountain region color.
Jerry and I discussed this along with the capital issue. And one suggestion that we batted around for a little while was whatever the town includes as the COLA in the budget, we notify the HOA that that's the COLA for applying to this vehicle here. For example, the budget that you're gonna talk about next week recommends a 2.75% COLA across the board for all wage lines. And we derived that from, I think it was the mountain region cost of living assessment. So my intention is to always peg that COLA to the same data point that you're comfortable with. And I agree with Mary that the mountain region is gonna be higher than the national average. And that fits better with Georgetown. I would argue that Georgetown's even higher than the mountain region, but if we had something that you're okay with, knowing that this year, I'm recommending 2.75%, then the town would just notify the HOA that we're applying a 2.75% to the 10,000, and that's what we expect. And it wouldn't be that onerous on staff to do that because we're doing it already for the budget process.
Is this mountain region COLA like published somewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
So can we just refer to that?
Sure, I mean, what you could do is say, replace the language here, which I'll do the word looking for you. But replace the, you'll still have a COLA. We'll still say COLA, but then it'll be the, COLA derived, based upon or derived, or which shall be the cost of living increase applied, in the town budget for all wage levels annually. That way, we can do that. Problems then?
Well, it reflects genuinely with what you're doing for the rest of the town staff. So it makes sense.
Okay,
Okay. I would
that
do
sounds good.
The capital improvements. Right, that's a pretty simple yes, no, do you want that written in?
Board?
Yeah, I mean, Jim's way out.
Yes.
I think 10% is super reasonable though.
I think it's a super reasonable number.
Objections? Okay, I will write those two things.
Jerry's gonna not be silly when I say what I'm gonna say. I just wanna remind, because I want everybody to be in the know. I just wanna make sure that as a potential precedent setting action here, we do not charge other neighborhoods to contribute to the infrastructure of a park that might be 500 feet from their home.
I mentioned that at the last meeting.
I just wanna make sure everybody's on board that the 10%, I think it's reasonable. I mean, if we have a $80,000 cost associated with we would partner with the HOA to cover $8,000 of that, and I don't think that's too much. But the precedent that could be being set by this is, I don't know, are the residents that border City Park gonna have to pay for that?
I think that park was started as a city park though, right? It wasn't donated as part of the subdivision, which this is, correct? Am I looking at that
We
correctly?
also have an overabundance of parks for the size, right, community that we have. And so in order to continue to offer those opportunities in different areas, that maybe we're trendsetters and this is what's starting for the future.
Very nice for president, right, Mary? Like, any new parks that come on, businesses gonna have to be added into that to help cover also the parks.
I'm
Well,
okay
we
with that.
currently, I don't wanna go down this rabbit hole tonight, cause we spent a lot of time on it,
Last time.
we have a sales tax. That is specifically designated for our parks, and it will sunset, and we will have to either take it back to ballot. Or maybe we'll have to reexamine it, but we have a method to fund parks in the current metric.
Based on the amount of parks that we had at the time.
That's right.
So as we improve and add, that tax did not take into account for that. So I think this is somewhat of a balance.
I don't like it, but I agree with you.
I feel good that there's a conversation about that and then explanation. I think that's important. So that's very good. Thank you. I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. Any other, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
no, absolutely, go ahead.
I can suggest a motion that we capture all three of these.
Can I ask, do we have an exhibit A?
Yes, it's on the very last page. If you look at the back of the very last page of your packet, it's on page 40. Look at page 40, that's the exhibit.
There
A.
is a chunk missing.
Yeah,
40 to 50, or
That's
1
right,
to
49.
49. But it's in your online packet, our printers refuse to print it.
Oh, so this is exhibit A.
Those were the big pages.
The drawings, the photos.
It does.
Kind of the full shot.
Exactly.
Yeah. But thanks for asking, that was one of the things I wanted to make sure happened when we tracked it.
Okay, so let's see, any other questions before Jerry suggests a motion? Very good,
So wait,
okay.
I need to consult with my Ward 3 selectmen here. Are we comfortable moving forward on this when at our last meeting, we had discussed bringing it to the community in our area, and it was, we had tentatively scheduled it for later this month. So that's my only reservation. I'm just throwing that out and everybody can hear, so it's not a secret.
Right. It would be interesting to get some public feedback on it, so
Feedback on what?
the whole deal.
Can I ask just a question? Do you think, and I'm not trying to be.
I guess DRC has approved it.
Yeah, DRC approved it. Are you thinking your constituents would not approve?
That's what I'm kind of wondering, I'm sorry, yeah, I wasn't trying to
I'm
be
sorry.
snarky, but do you think that people are gonna be like, screw that free park? Like, in our neighborhood, like, I'm just-
But when this originally came up in conversation. Quite a while back, when we met with Creighton even,
Right.
there was a different proposal and that. At a different, a much larger scale too. And that was shared to some degree at the last meeting that was held at Cabin Creek. No, prior to the
It was
charrette.
like,
For the Cabin Creek Parks and Rec meeting, right,
Let me ask you a question on Mary, would it be, cause I see where you're going with it, but what happens if they decide to make it a private park and then now nobody can use it but the residents of that area? Would that be more upsetting to the locals if there's a park there that they can use? But that's always a possibility, correct?
what is the concern?
We don't,
Concern
town doesn't
people
own
who
property.
I think it's the activity level that happens on the lagoon and the lake, and we experience this when we have issues like ice racing, and everyone is pretty comfortable with the ice racing on the lake end of it.
cause it's on the other
And
end.
then all of a sudden we do pond hockey on the lagoon end where all the residents are, and
Folks.
Oh, no, I agree,
You know,
I'm just saying, what's the worst case scenario? If we don't do something with it, if you control and somebody else.
but
can do
then,
something.
so we're making this an attraction not only for the community.
Right,
But just as the skate park, and this is gonna come up again,
oh, yeah.
where the potential for more people are utilizing it that might not necessarily be the community. I mean, the lake is the whole water piece is already, an attraction. And it's just a matter of sharing and being transparent that this is going on. This project has changed over the years from, as we all know. And
also,
this was not pegged a part of it at that time.
No, true, but this does give more users the ability to use it, because it's not just say people fishing or us runners running around the lake, it's another little area for stuff for people to
But
do.
it's also gonna be a burden on the town as to continuing with this.
True.
Because $10,000 is not gonna cover it, we've already agreed on that, this is a small portion of it compared to what it's going to take to do this, and
So
so.
we're looking out, like, this is a vast improvement.
Yeah,
There's literally, when I look at these designs, there's no flaw in the design. It improves the whole vantage point coming into Georgetown that people are gonna see as they're coming off of I-70. Right now, what you see is dirt.
right, it's
And-
terrible.
So a vast improvement is paving every street in this town, in my opinion. However, we have several people in this community that disagree with that.
But that's not gonna make a visual impression on our visitor base.
Yes, it would.
Well, I
They
think,
can't see your street or my, like, let's focus on this,
Yeah,
like, this
To
specific.
me,
I
it's all the
totally
same.
respect that, I was totally on board with like combing through the details because of the logistics of the donation and ensuring that we were not just getting handed like land in Florida that was gonna be hard to manage. But that's, I mean, we've gone through this whole exercise and that's not what we're getting an improved upon public space that will be utilized by residents and visitors alike. And I think that that's important. I mean, I don't know where else on the, like, we're getting this, you know, there's obviously reasons for the gift that are whatever they are. But at the end of the day, it's better than what's there. And I would be stunned if a Ward 3 resident, and I'm not gonna presume, but if I lived in Ward 3, I'd be like, oh my God, another park for my kids to go through. I'm not gonna be like, you bastards, there's grass. Like, that's like not, that doesn't align. And so that's where I'm having a hard time with like kicking the can down the road. But I respect where you guys are
I
at.
think there are several people in Ward 1 who don't wanna see Georgetown improved
100%.
and growing the way it has.
so one of the things we wanna do though is I think just bring this back to this. We have, looked at this before, and we know that DRC has approved it, which is a public process. And so, you guys mentioned last time you wanted to go and get your constituents' feedback. I'm assuming that has not happened, that you have not gotten constituent feedback?
Yeah, a few, and some of them are very passionate, and their biggest concern was that we're gonna come back to them. Other folks that don't live right there and ask for maybe another bond issue with the parks so we can maintain that. Because we have a lot of parks and we're very good in Georgetown about building stuff, but not maintaining it.
And I think
And that's their biggest concern.
okay, and I
So
think
if they
that's
s-
fair.
You know, like $10,000, they're saying that will maintain the trail, never mind about the dog park.
Well,
So the few people I did talk to about it, that's
their concern.
that was their concern at Cabin Creek, and it's still a concern.
So the concern is whether or not the town can really afford to maintain
Yes,
another park.
yes,
So if we look at what's in front of us, then we have $10,000 that Dennis came up with, correct?
Mhm.
Dennis, which was based on the allocated time that Parks and Rec would have to spend on this park, is that correct?
It's about half.
It's about half of what it would cost. So we have a cost, then we have a cost sharing, and then we know that the HOA is gonna be sharing. And so did your constituents
That-
know that?
sat very well with me after Dennis
Sure.
explained that.
And what about your constituents? How did they feel?
They may be
Go ahead.
like some of the Ward 1 folks that are gonna go nuts if you try to put a skate park or Ward 2 in that spot.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That they wanna see something done, but they don't really have any good ideas about what should be done.
The idea was that we were going to update that, and so I'm not standing in the way of this proposal in
Right.
that sense. However, and I don't see, please tell me if I'm wrong. The difference in approving this now compared to 3 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from now, or whatever, and to have that meeting and the opportunity, and, you know. We told them we were gonna come back to them with a plan, there were multiple plans out there. And just to have that opportunity, whether they agree, whether they disagree, maybe it comes down to, well, gee, they would like the HOA to put in a little bit more. You get a lot more, you know, interaction from the end that you're in than I do, but you get more impact. You know.
Well, some of those folks have, you know, gone
Exactly,
postal, basically,
yeah,
some of this stuff.
Can I jump in?
what's the rush?
Wait,
If it doesn't wait till 2 more weeks down the line.
so let's have Dennis comment on this too.
A couple things. I just want to echo what the police judge has said. The park plan went through the process that's legally required by the town and it was approved. The Board of Selectmen does not jump into that approval process once the DRC has said their piece. But I understand what Mary is saying about the park itself. The second thing I wanted to talk about, Rich, you mentioned the fear of a bond being asked for. And The bond would be asked or requested of the town for our park system.
Mhm.
Which is not gonna be focused only on this park. That means the town itself, in my view, gets more control over what is gonna happen to that, because they could, at the ballot box, say no. Or yes, because parks is a priority to them and the quality of life in Georgetown. I think that's a good thing. That we would entertain a bond and ask the people if they want to do that. So the fear there, to me, is alleviated because we're asking them for their approval. That's a good thing. The other thing that I want to point out, and Kurt has touched on this a little bit because of the liability concern. If the town does not take the trail becomes somebody else's, and access to the lagoon is gone. And I think that hurts the community and it hurts our access to the lagoon. I also want to point out, if you're concerned about events and traffic on the lagoon or the lake, the town has always maintained authority to say yes or no to those events. They have to come to the town and say, can we do this? And you say yes or no. And so if Ward 3 or Ward 1 is concerned about an event causing a problem within the community, they can voice their opinions during that process and we can say, no, we don't want ice driving anymore. I'm saying that just, okay, you don't take it. But you leave long, yeah.
Yeah, they're cool lots.
And I think that to get to the brass tacks of this is, we have negotiated, I think, a very good agreement with Kurt and his
Yeah.
team.
Absolutely.
And I'm very grateful that the town would be getting a park done for free, along with, to me, it's very important to have control of that trailway along the lake. We currently maintain that, but we don't own that. So we're currently maintaining property that the town does not own or have jurisdiction over. So I understand that you have a concern that you want to hear from your constituency. I think it would be just fine if the town went forward tonight and did its approval. And then we continue this outreach to Ward 3
Absolutely.
residents to say, here's again the plan that was approved by the DRC. Do you have any concerns? Can we alleviate those? And in my experience working with Kurt and Max, if I said to Kurt, hey Kurt, we've heard some more stuff from our residents, and before you get started on construction, the idea of having big stone monuments in the middle of the park for kids to climb on, they don't like that. Can we take that out of the plan? I'm sure Kurt would work with us and say, yes, we'll modify that. But I think it's important tonight to at least get through the donation acceptance and the maintenance agreement. And if we have an issue with what the park is going to look like, in addition to what DRC has already approved, let's address that specifically. So I think we certainly can continue to pursue the outreach with Ward 3 residents.
The other thing too, if I can just echo what he said, you know, the improvement really ought to go forward, but what happens there certainly is up to us. So once he's out of here and sold it to us, back to us, and we. and
Not
it's
sold,
developed-
donated. He's donating.
Given it.
Yeah.
Donating it back to us, sorry, sold, donate. It's up to us to dictate what happens, and certainly we can make it a function of asking those residents before anything, you know, anything's approved, to say, hey, this is what some people want to do, what do you guys think? I mean, we can certainly use those week or 2 weeks, you know, to do the legwork there before any kind of an
But all-
event that you think is going to this.
All of our parks are gonna change over time. Look at the basketball court, and we're looking at it from a skate park point of view, okay? So that's inevitable. What we're trying to do now is sign off on this document and all these agreements and all of these exhibits and saying, yes, we like this plan. What's the harm in 2 weeks away from now, knowing that, and some of these explanations are great. So if people are concerned, well, gee, why isn't the trail maintained better? Or why isn't this? It's kind of that give and take situation. And these are the positives and these might be the negatives. And they don't like the brick climbing wall in the middle. I don't, you know, there is.
So can't that happen after approval?
Well,
But so then we've already got a signed contract and no, we're
if I
sticking
can
with the
caveat though, I
contract.
think one thing that sometimes and I totally respect the difficulty of this.
Absolutely.
We sometimes as a board though, we get so worried about like making sure that everybody is good, that we push decisions out and out and out. And we try, and that is, it's a hard process because we are obligated to try to meet deadlines for people, but by the same token, I think we sometimes bite our nose off to spite our face when we're having to make decisions. This has been on 2 agendas. And I don't even know how many DRC agendas it was on, so I'll say 3 conservatively. That's 3 opportunities for people in this community to
Right.
know there's a park being considered. Where's Linear Park? Let me see the plans. Our agendas are posted everywhere. They're posted in the post office, they're posted at the library, they're posted in town hall, they're posted on the website. We have people that come to us after the fact and they're frustrated. Fireworks, I've gotten chewed out over fireworks up one side and down the other. And everyone I'm talking to is getting the same explanation. It was on an agenda, this is PPC's money, we have to manage this process, the board approved it. It was out there for people to know. The plan was in our agendas. If it was for us to have to spoon feed this to people, unless there's, if we had that concern, I feel like we should take it up 2 weeks ago. That's just me. I personally don't wanna kick this can down the road, and I understand this is not my ward, but it's the town I represent, and I believe that this is a good project, and that's why I'm behind it. But I respect your vote.
Well, the biggest thing too is, because you're going 80 units in there, correct? Which is why the park's going in, so you have 80 people, roughly, that more than likely, what's that?
Maybe 160.
Well, yes, you can have 80 to 160 people that probably more likely are gonna wanna see a park there. If they had a choice to have nothing, have a park, yeah, I want that place because I want to park there.
This is also the only park where we've had donations made to it,
Yeah,
right,
it's
by
a fun.
the builder. So I think that's a very important cost factor to consider. And certainly I understand where you're going with your constituents, but are you saying they could stop this process? Because I think that would be a really not good decision. And again, I'm not a voting member, I get it. But I think if we've gone this far down, DRC's approved it, we've had it, we've got language that we want. Do we want to stop it at this point? I don't think, I don't want to. I'm not
We
hearing
have
that.
indicated though that our communication to this entire community needs improvement. And we know that we can post these agendas until we're blue in the face and not a damn person or not enough people go in and
Mhm.
bother to look at them to pay any attention to what's on there. And it's the other way that we push out conversation and communication that gets attention. We're trying to provide the information to them. It's not like we're even taking a straw poll at that. It's no other than nothing different than the charrette that we had to get public input for how they wanted to see the piece of land on the North Argentine project developed, not developed, enhanced. And we came back and because those people turned out, even though there might have been only 20 people, I'm guessing what the number was.
Yeah.
And those were the voices that counted. And so here we're giving the public another opportunity to come and say, oh, yeah, that looks really good. Or, oh my God, have you thought of that? And what if they think of one little thing that all of a sudden everyone is really all behind? I don't see the harm in doing that. It's not as if, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, no, your voice doesn't count. We're asking for their input. We're trying to get them involved. We beat ourselves to death trying to get them involved. And yet this is something that's happening in that community that we have begun to share with them, told them we were coming back, had intentions. We talked about a potential meeting on the 18th. We'll have to move that because of our budget work session. To be able to present this to the 5 people show up, 5 people show up. And
But we have far more we have way more issues or
Yeah.
much bigger problems
This is-
where people should
This
be
is
involved.
minor.
So should we do that on every single
Yeah.
agenda item?
There's an
Because
IGA
it's
packet, we
it's
should
a
get
pretty part.
every single person.
we have-
And we've spent over a year trying to put together a police department.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't helped, though, has it made?
Could I just ask a question, because we seem to be diverging a little bit from
Yeah.
the real point. If we were to do an outreach to the Ward 3 residents and constituents and voting members, what would that look like?
I could speak to that. It will look exactly like the outreach that we already did at Cabin Creek, where we invited the Ward 3 residents to an open house to see the entire plan for the park. And we had nothing but glowing reviews and appreciation for what Kurt's planning to do there.
But it wasn't this plan.
It was this plan. this park plan that went to the DRC and got approved was laid out in that back meeting room at Cabin Creek. And the only thing that I got from that from Creighton that was changed was his willingness to install AstroTurf versus the sand that was planned for the little play area in the middle. So I'm only pointing that out because to claim that there hasn't been outreach for this, or that there's a problem with communication on this particular project is not true. And we've gone over and over this. In fact, the charrette idea for the North Argentine project was modeled after what we did in the Ward 3 open house at Cabin Creek for this small project. So I think that the town has done an exemplary job of outreach and communication on this, but maybe people just aren't interested. And they're not paying attention
See,
until.
that may be the case, because
Well, maybe-
I went to the DRC meeting where they discussed, and I think what Creighton and I were maybe one of the design folks that work with Kurt, were the only folks there. And at that time, I think there was gonna be a blue, I don't know what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Cindy and Bob and that commission really gave some good input into the plan. And it was, I think it was advertised even at the design charrette that the DRC, that's why I knew to come to that meeting. But I don't know, maybe there just isn't, people just wanna complain and not really
We
have
went through
boots on
this
the ground and show up.
Police task force too, right?
I would ask that the board this evening approve the documents that Gary presented to you this evening. And recommend that Ward 3 continue with their plans to do outreach in the next couple of weeks. And if anything comes from that outreach, I will pass that on to Kurt and we will discuss maybe negotiating a change to those if it's warranted. I don't think that the plan for the park is gonna be written in stone and undoable until it's done.
Well, and if it's ours, I guess we can change it, just like roundabouts and other.
Sure. I think an important question that Kurt can answer tonight is, you know, I think it's been a snow in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
So it's snowing in Michigan right now. If it snows in a couple of weeks, I don't think you're gonna see a lot of dirt flying on that park, and so that's more time to discuss and maybe make some tweaks to the plan. Is
But
that
if we
fair?
approve this evening and then continue with an outreach, there will be a valid argument from any of those constituents that they were run over roughshod without additional input from them.
Well, then,
And that therefore, why should they bother to actually respond to any outreach?
Then I'll show them the photographs that we took of all of these people that attended the open house at Cabin Creek, and there were easily 70 people there. And they got free pizza, drinks.
That's how you get people to show up.
Yeah.
It's pretty-
And I mean, there were some of the folks that are,
Yeah.
the loudest voices that live down by my end, they showed up for that. And
Yeah.
and some of their things were addressed in changing the design, like the band shell and the Blue Lagoon, whatever it was.
Amphitheater.
But
Yeah, so I think,
Ready when you
so
are.
let us entertain a motion then from Jerry on this, and as Dennis had just suggested, and let's see where we go.
Okay,
Okay.
a motion could be move to approve the park construction and equipment donation agreement, the park development and maintenance agreement, and the donation agreement of real estate between the town of Georgetown and Centennial Opportunity Fund, with the changes to be made by the town attorney as directed by the Board of Selectmen at its November 11th, 2025 meeting, and authorize and direct the police judge to execute the same.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so that's Rob and Amanda. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, so 5 in favor and 1 opposed. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kurt. We appreciate your time once again
Thanks, Kurt.
and our
Appreciate
our
it.
rousing conversations that you always get to hear.
I appreciate all your guidance and direction.
I truly do in your stewardship of this town. And Jerry, I certainly appreciate all your efforts that you do. I know it's pages and pages of things that you've got to deal with, so thank you so much, and Dennis, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Have a
Thank
good night,
you.
sir.
Thank you. All right, item number two, action item number two is the law enforcement IGA, and, you have a draft that was included in your packet, and also a draft that Dennis just passed out this evening. So Dennis, would you like to take this one?
Yes, thank you. And Jerry will jump in when I say something wrong, but. I spoke to you at our last meeting, telling you about how optimistic I was and how close we were. And then, part of the team took time off and left town, and I'm not talking about you, Jerry, because Jerry and I talked 3 times over the last 2 weeks, I think, on the phone, and sent a couple of emails with new issues to the sheriff's office team. They just weren't available to make the changes, but Jerry and I agreed that we thought we needed to see where we were at in time on this agreement, so we could kind of get a litmus test from you on the issues that were already basically decided in this draft. So I would like to take the opportunity to simply take 5 minutes, go through the draft very quickly with you. And if you have discovered any issues, or if you have any questions or any additional direction you want to provide to our negotiating team, I would welcome those this evening.
I made meetings, I don't see an exhibit.
And it was,
It was.
There was an old one and a new one.
The new one is.
and just
the
so
one-
everybody knows, this is a discussion item. We do not need to take a motion on that. Okay.
Oh, I guess that's it.
So I had some
I do.
questions. In 3.1, on page 1, a supervisor from Georgetown. It doesn't look like that supervisor is part of what we're paying for. We're paying for 3 patrol officers at a rate of whatever you have here later in the document. I just wanted to confirm that.
That's
He's
true.
included in that.
He's included in that non-charge service with all the inspect detectives, record management, all of the stuff you see in the
Okay.
different sections here. That supervisor is included in that and would be immediately assigned to Georgetown without cost.
Okay, and then, I'm sorry. 3.2, patrol schedules, I had a question on that. I didn't see anything in here, maybe I missed it. That indicated that those 3 patrol officers would be the same people all the time, absent illness and vacations. And I didn't see that specifically iterated anywhere. Did I miss it?
No, it's not intended. That will not happen.
I thought that was gonna happen.
No. They are going to have to manage their patrol schedules based on their deputies that are available. So if they have 3 deputies and one goes on vacation.
No, I understand that, but absent somebody going on vacation, we would have the same people here on their rotations. We're not gonna have 7 or 8, 9 people. We're gonna have the same 3 unless someone's
Yes,
on vacation.
that is intended except for the supervisor. They're
Except
going
for the
to swap out supervisors based on their.
Okay, so I didn't see that intention articulated in this agreement, and maybe I missed it.
What are the presence of blank hours per whatever?
Yeah.
The one that, it's got 1/6, so yeah, that was,
I
this
feel,
one has to be updated.
Is the updated one, oh,
Yeah,
so the one that we got a couple days ago is outdated.
right,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
yeah,
didn't know that.
6.2.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
160 a week.
which is the normal patrol schedule hours times 3.
So can I just jump back to 3.1 so we don't have to go? Have we defined the rank of, the minimum rank of the supervisor in this paragraph so that it's not just the officer in charge, that could be a deputy level with the most experience compared to a sergeant or a lieutenant or whatever rank they're providing?
I'm going to make a note of rank and get some clarification, because it's my understanding that police agencies do not just appoint supervisors from the rank and file without having supervision experience or certification, training, so let me get some clarification from that, because there might be a deputy level person that has been promoted to a supervisor level, rank without a change in rank like lieutenant sergeant or something like that, but let me get some clarification on that. And I'm trying to figure out what Georgia was talking about.
Well, this was, if you go to 3.2 patrol schedules, I don't know if it would go in there, that's where I got my question. But I don't know if that would be the appropriate.
Okay, I think that's where I'm making the. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions on 3.2 or something? I guess we should go through it that way. That makes sense. What about 3.3, the SRO? Comments on that?
The only thing I would, and this is maybe not necessarily the document to define it, but the process for the school to contact, like it, as opposed to them just having to go through dispatch for situations, some point of contact person. Cause there's situations that come up like that you wouldn't necessarily pull a call into Jeff come for. You would call.
Like Randy.
Yeah.
That,
And then those are more situations where you're dealing with like potential like neglect or something that's more sensitive. Like,
Personal.
yeah, and it's a little more personal, and so how they would attain that contact information and what that guidance would look like. And you know, obviously, if there was a potential for that, like a, you know, in the purview of the 5 years, if an SRO became available, that person become assigned. Cause I know that they're limited, SROs are a very specific certification, and it's a 40-hour class and it takes place in the summer. At one point, Georgetown was gonna cover half of it when we had our own police department, but that obviously fell through.
Yes, I'll make a note of that. I will share with you that our last discussion on this particular item, the sheriff's office had reached out to the school district to
Then they're-
clarify this before we put it in language, but your question about the process for contacts is not included, and also a question about certifications for SRO is not and should be addressed in this. Their intention is to treat Georgetown Community School the same as they treat the other elementary that they have an SRO at, and the high school, so that everybody's treated the same with the SRO.
That's excellent.
Okay, I knew I had a cheat sheet here that I just found buried. I wanted to point out a couple of things to you if we don't have any other questions off the cuff, but we wanted to make sure, Jerry and I, when we were talking about this IGA, that there was a robust section on monthly reports of services. And you'll read through, there's 4 sections to that, we think is very much more than adequate. But will provide the information that the town needs on a regular basis to assess whether they're living up to their commitments in the IGA. So if you could look at that, and if you have any questions or suggestions for beefing that up, please let me know.
I have a quick question on that one. Is this something under 3.4.3? Does the Board of Selectmen have the right or ability to look at these reports so we know what they're doing?
Through your town administrator, yes.
So you would bring it to us, but
Yes.
is this something we could ask for, then we could say, hey, then if we want to see your
Yes.
accountability reports or.
Yes, but you could not just go to the sheriff's office
No.
and say, I am Georgia,
But I
I
would go
want
through
this.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's because they have certain restrictions on information access through the department.
Sure, understood, thank you. And then benchmarks. What are benchmarks?
So I-
Have to be defined.
Yes, I wanted to make sure that there was a very easy way to also communicate this to the public. Whether or not the sheriff's office was meeting its expectations here, so we want to set a certain level of benchmarks. And you'll see that in the second sentence, that, or the second, 3.44, thanks. So these benchmarks shall be created within the first 30 days and agreed upon by both parties. And then that form that would be created would show whether they are reporting that they've met a benchmark or not met a benchmark. And I asked for them to also provide an explanation of if there's a case they did not meet in the benchmark, let's say it's minimum patrol hours of 168. Then they would provide an explanation that says they had to go to 17 major events throughout the county and they were drawn away from the town and could not meet that.
So
I have a
benchmarks,
question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Since it's the start of something new and a new IGA, could maybe put one of the benchmarks the first 6 months while they're getting officers on board, trained, that we have it on a monthly basis for the first 6 months of the agreement, so that way we can better answer questions that the community has, or the Clear Creek Current has about where the police force is and what, and where we're at, rather than quarterly. I think quarterly, once the agreement has been instituted for a while, is plenty, but I think whenever you're starting something new like that, I think the more information we have on a monthly basis would be more appropriate, especially if we're looking for transparency to the community and all that kind of stuff. On this deal.
Years of life, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
So are you comfortable with 6 months or would you rather have a year?
A year. I think it's gonna take them a while.
Yeah, I think 1 year is better.
Okay,
And these benchmarks are gonna be service-based, right? In other words, hours on task or
Calls and.
call or
Yeah,
something like
wherever-
that.
Or,
So, yeah.
where the
Like
training.
benchmarks, like it made people happy.
Well, I was gonna say that, one of the benchmarks is their exposure to the,
That's what I would hope too.
I wondered if maybe they would. If you can, put into numbers, that kind of a thing, that it becomes more about, just a sight seeing.
Well, then
Well,
the status of officers being hired and trained and that sort of thing.
mhm.
So, which I think the community probably needs to know that.
you're gonna see the benchmarks before they're approved. You're gonna approve that
Yeah.
before they're added.
So will there be like an appendix in here then, or an exhibit or something that we're,
They should be included in the IGA, correct? I think that's what Mary's going for.
so that we have these, so rather than just saying the benchmarks shall be agreed upon, so we're gonna have them as part of this document?
You can have them part of the document or separate MOU. It doesn't, I don't think it makes a difference.
Well, but wherever, we're gonna have that when we sign off on this.
I think they should be part of the agreement because I think it's part of what we're agreeing to. If it's a separate MOU, then I think we need part of that MOU.
We can set it up as an exhibit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're not gonna see it till after you've approved this. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but at least it's
You're-
referred to and it's incorporated therein by reference or something like that, right?
We're not approving this tonight.
No.
No, but once you execute this document and everybody signed, then the two parties will spend the next 30 days developing the
The
benchmark.
benchmarks.
So then let's,
Which
okay,
Jerry can add a line here for Mac or,
Yeah,
or
to be
Peter
incorporated.
to say, as will be incorporated as attachment one.
okay.
Yeah, I've done that before where you have an agreement. And that agreement directs that an exhibit shall be prepared. And when prepared shall be attached and now it will be, and is declared to be a part of the base agreement.
I think that's good.
Any kind of supervision that you wanna do a little more to start with and then. When
I think it
it's
makes
flying, let it
You
fly.
build trust and then you can let off the gas a little bit on number of reports. I understand. And I don't think the sheriff's office will have any issue with that. Okay. Staff assignment notifications, that's our way of making sure that if they change the staff assignment, which you related
Yeah.
to in section 3.2,
Mhm.
that they would provide notice to me and then therefore you, so that you would know what was going on with those deputies.
Mhm.
The community policing plan, this is something that's a little bit more of a nebulous thing, but I thought it would be important to at least state in the IGA that they're committed to a community policing approach in Georgetown. And you can see the important part of this would be public safety or other demands may sometimes preclude attendance at an event, but CCSO's intention is to participate when appropriate and available. So that's just them reminding us that they have other demands and that we acknowledge that, and we knew that going into this.
Right.
Special community events.
One quick second. I just wanted to make sure that what we're going after in the community policing plan section is an active presence. We want them to have an active presence, right? That's what we're going after here, and community involvement. So I didn't know if active presence, if that had any weight, Jerry, in terms of incorporating those words into here, or is it specious, or what, I mean,
It's hard to quantify.
I know, and I just wanted to make sure the spirit of it was that,
Right.
It's subjective, but it's,
yeah.
sometimes you have subjective terms in an agreement.
I mean, I feel like, so this is designated deputies are expected to provide professional, courteous, and supportive law enforcement services to the town. The party's expectation is for friendly and responsive interactions with residents, victims, business owners,
So
etc.
maybe that gets it,
Attendance at community meetings and special events will routinely occur.
okay.
Public safety or other demands may sometimes preclude attendance at an event, but CCSO's intention is to participate when appropriate and available.
So that kind of hits that.
I feel like that covers, you know, I mean, there's kind of a minutia here, it's like that we have to allow them to do their jobs within the function of their training.
Right,
And that might not always align with what we envision, but it might just be because it's not possible or it's not appropriate.
right. No, I just wanted to put that up and make sure that everyone was looking at it.
Yep, and then the next section,
Thank you.
3.7, will piggyback on that and be a little bit more specific, because we wanted to make sure that was written in, there was a commitment to special event support. And so you can see the first lines are very straightforward, and they commit to participation in any and all special events as requested by the town administrator. They have the caveats of whether the personnel are going to be available for those. And we also wanted to spell out what notices would be committed to in terms of that, because we've had issues with that in the past. Where the sheriff's office was not communicated with that they were needed for a special event until the last minute, a day or two before the event. And that caused quite an issue with their office and trying to staff it. But also, we wanted to spell out some very specific events that we want to make sure are in the IGA. That has to do with the 4th of July, leaf peeping, Christmas market, and a new thing I wanted to make sure was implemented, which was an annual national night out event that was sponsored by the office, the town, and any local sponsorships from businesses. And so my question to you this evening is this list are you comfortable with this list?
Should pond hockey?
I just wrote pond hockey
I
down.
think that's a good, yeah.
We had some.
I also would caveat, and this is honestly on us, I feel like providing a minimum advance notice, can we define like a number of days?
What that is, yeah.
And that's a Georgetown thing, like that's on us to be responsive in that regard, like 45 days, 60 days. I mean, I feel like 60 days is appropriate, but if you have a new events person, I don't wanna.
Well, these events that are listed are so well known, 60 days makes
We're
sense.
rarely planning an event like with less than 60 days notice.
Don't rely on that though, because.
Pond hockey came up in about what?
That
3
was a one-off.
But then, but
No, but
that,
they can have-
something like that could happen again,
That's
that
true.
we are offered an opportunity to act and it has to be quick, and what we're really trying to do is recognize what their scheduling notice is so that they can provide,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Notice there's-
Well, like,
It may
hockey was crazy, and
Right.
if that happened again, I mean, yeah, we wanna collaborate with them, but by the same token, I wouldn't go back and say, you didn't meet a benchmark.
Well, we could
And
say
now
where
you're in trouble
possible,
if they
we
couldn't
could say where
schedule.
possible, give us your, we'll give you 30 days where
Well,
possible.
they need to define that to us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Based
because
on
they
their
know when they set their
schedule.
Yeah, I would caution you this evening for your discussion. You're giving me input on elements that are missing or need to be addressed. So the wordsmithing will come from Peter and Jerry when we have a chance to propose this to the sheriff's office. And if they're not big changes, I don't see any big problem with it. Like adding pond hockey, they're gonna say, okay, that's fine. We were expecting to be at that event anyway. And the minimum period of, notice,
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask them to throw out a time, and if they say 15 days, then I'm gonna take them up on their offer for 15
Yeah.
days. I'm not gonna jump out and say, how about 60 days, because then we're burdening our staff unnecessarily.
There's another thing under special community events. And we used to set up something with the marshals when we didn't have enough,
Oh, the Rangers.
rangers. And maybe that should be mentioned, because I don't know if it's the sheriff's office that has to put in the request.
They have to have.
For law enforcement,
with them.
and so I think that might You might wanna mention that in there. Especially if they don't have enough coverage for some of these events, they can put in a request for is it the marshals?
I hear,
Rangers.
I hear what you're saying, but here's why I'm going to disagree with that. If you put in a caveat that lets them off the hook for their commitment, then they might take advantage of that. And what we want is we want a firm commitment and living up to that commitment of the 3 deputies, no questions asked. I don't wanna say unless, the sun shines differently one day, they will take advantage of that at some point. So my only, I hear what you're saying.
It doesn't have to be in this agreement.
No, and I think the sheriff's office will come, and we've had this experience with leaf peeping already. Where Eric came to us and said, we would like to have the rangers under contract to help on the pass. And would offer them to you if you needed them to help direct traffic. That is where
I
that,
just didn't know how that
yeah,
process
I would,
works.
I'd rather leave it out of the IGA.
Okay,
And then work that out on a case by case basis if it comes to that.
very good.
Okay, the next item is the grievance and complaint process. This is important because if our citizens offer complaints to the sheriff's office for not meeting their expectation. Or if they made a call to Jeffcom and for a domestic disturbance or something and the sheriff's office didn't show up for 45 minutes. I want to know about that, so I can rectify that with them or pass that information on to you if there's a serious issue that can't be resolved. And so I think that this does adequate language to address that. The next few sections are basically outlining what the commitment was in the proposal for the public information officer. The compliance with reporting, so that means that everything that we are required, if we had our own police agency, to provide as reporting to the state of Colorado, they are taking that on for us.
I'd like to go back to the PIO. I respect that they will be releasing the information, but 5 seconds before it's released, I want the town, you, i.e. town administrator, notified of that press release. Not expecting us to change it, to massage it, to modify it, but we need to know before it hits that. Whether you read it or not on a timely basis, that's on you. Right, but
Well, it also might be something that we'll get calls on. and so
Exactly,
we just
that's
need to
right.
be informed
So,
so that we know what answer to give.
And they may say something we don't like.
and that may happen, they may phrase it in a way that we would have preferred it to be different. We're not trying to change that, we just wanna be aware of the fact that they are making
Right.
a statement or releasing some information. So that we know first before.
Yes,
I just wanna be part of the.
okay, I made
Yeah.
a note here.
Okay.
We are not going to be directing their message.
No.
But we wanna know what their message is ahead of time, so if we have to craft our own message, we
Yep.
can.
It's public information on the part of the public.
Correct. I think they tried to address that in the language that was in there, but I don't think it does the trick, so we'll ask for that to be beefed up a bit. Okay, so then we're on the section around investigations and evidence, human resources and finance support. And I'm down to policies and procedures. I'm not trying to gloss over those previous sections, but they're pretty boilerplate.
What section are you on?
3.13.
Yeah.
So under policies and procedures, the sheriff's office does maintain its authority and independence on making its own policies and procedures within the department. However, we wanted to, or I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to comment if they were gonna change those policies.
Mm-hmm. We should just be aware of, yeah.
Yes.
Policy change.
Mhm.
Okay, patrol vehicle markings. I think that's pretty self-explanatory too. You remember in their proposal, they were going to put serving Georgetown on the vehicles that were serving Georgetown. And they initially had that, dedicated as magnetic signs they were going to put on there. And I thought that that's a great offer, but I didn't want to limit it to only magnetic signs because it could change over time. And I think all I care about, and I hope all you care about, is that those vehicles would read serving Georgetown on their patrol unit.
Our logo go on there?
If we ask them to, yes.
Do we want our logo on there?
If it fits their design.
Oh, it has to be within their design.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it can't clash with the,
It's very specific to.
cause I remember, I mean, I thought when they did the proposal, they were like, it's gonna say something like Georgetown Patrol or serving
Yeah.
Georgetown or something like that.
Keep it simple, if it
Language
gets too
yeah.
flowery and artsy
Yes.
and
That's too much.
logos.
And I've done this before, this exact same thing, the serving, the community worked out just great and it conveyed the message just fine.
Thank you.
Okay, code enforcement. Now, this is where Jerry might have to step in because this is the issue about whether these citations are gonna be written under Georgetown's municipal code or whether they're gonna do something different. And the sheriff's office reached out to the judge to see how that potentially could work out. And Jerry, do you wanna give a quick?
The judge said, that that's fine in terms of being able to direct fine revenue for citations to Georgetown. So I was pleased with that, answer, because that implicates, in order to find revenue, you have to like reconstitute the municipal, Georgetown municipal, and the answer is no. And, what I know I will want to do is have a further conversation with the judge and Peter Whitman, county attorney, just to confirm that. But, I wrote these sections, they had given me some thoughts or whatever, and I reformatted it and then wrote these sections in kind of a, in the way you see, which says, look, we get the revenue. The officers still have their discretion on whether they're writing it under a state statute, county ordinance, municipal ordinance. I mean, there aren't that many county ordinances, so it's either state statute or municipal ordinance. And, the officers gotta have discretion out in the field, but, but preference in writing, given the writing in this Georgetown municipal code violations. And
I think this is one of the things that we can look at when you're defining the benchmarks or part of the report that they give us, so that it's something that we can see.
Measurable.
Exactly. And,
It could be a cross check on the fines.
and not saying that they have to write it all under municipal code. I mean, there is gonna be, certainly more times with, the other works, but it's just another method that we can use to gauge.
May I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
And I apologize, this probably should have gone back to investigations and evidence, and I just realized I missed it. During the presentation, they talked about how they were going to have to certify somebody in the department to do accident investigations, because I don't believe. Do you guys remember this? Or this could be, I'm looking at Marion, Georgia.
I don't remember
We-
that.
I feel like there was something, like if there was a traffic accident in the town limits. Which doesn't happen often, but was that, I don't know why I
The
remember
only
that
thing that
standing out.
comes to mind was the discussion about, how
don't
they currently do that by bringing CDOT.
Well, CSP
And
has to
CSP.
do all of the ones that happen on I-7.
Yes.
That's
So
its jurisdiction.
they do not currently have anybody in the department that does crash investigations solely.
But there's a difference between the type of investigation you're talking about compared to you bumped into him and they fill out a report. We're talking a total
This could
level
be,
of
sorry, this could be
investigation.
something that I remember from that initial presentation, I'm remembering incorrectly, and if I am, that's on me.
It would be
Is
worth
it just-
asking
Is it just a
though,
question we could ask, like, in the.
what level of traffic and
I
motor
was kind of
vehicle
looking more towards like a
investigations?
code enforcement thing here, and I didn't mean for it to get that far, but like, yeah, if there.
Just what level of motor vehicle investigations, accident investigations are they qualified in doing, or if it's enhanced? If it's a 5-car fatal, are they calling in
Right,
CSP?
that's the thing.
That's where,
Be hard pressed. for
as
that.
opposed to a fender bender.
Yeah.
Okay, good questions. I've made a note.
Thank you, my apologies if.
No,
No, that's good.
No, I got those.
Okay,
Okay.
vehicle and office disposition. It says vehicle and office disposition, but it only speaks to vehicles because that's really the only thing that's in question at this point. But their intention, and I hope this is captured with what Peter and Jerry have written, I think it has. They intend to use the current town patrol vehicles during the interim period where they've ordered new fleet vehicles for servicing Georgetown. once they receive those vehicles and put them in service, they'll return the Georgetown vehicles back to us and we will dispose of them as we see fit, and most advantageous, probably via auction. But I wanted to make sure it was clear in this, that they are paying for it. They're paying for the vehicles that are Georgetown, serving Georgetown going forward. And the town will have no liability or responsibility for vehicle maintenance or anything like that.
Can we strike off this disposition then, just say
Yeah.
vehicle disposition?
Yes. My intention, by the way, as an aside here, is to, I've already had conversations with Chief Babion about taking over the office space over at the fire station. He's very interested in that.
Returning it to the fire department, you mean?
Yeah, returning it to the fire.
They would like.
Yes. Okay, dispatch and JEFCOM 911. This is simply to make sure that we put in here who's responsible for what. And I wanted to make sure that it was clear that the town is still responsible for its JEFCOM fees. But that the sheriff's office, as the law enforcement agency, will be representing us with JEFCOM on how JEFCOM is performing and serving us as a client to JEFCOM. Okay, and then in section 318, you always are gonna be worried about any change of scope. And so we just wanted to make sure that there is a process that's integrated into this IGA for either party to change the scope of the IGA.
Can I go back to 317
Yes,
Can we? So the second sentence says this does not include person-to-person telephone or electronic communication between CCS personnel, blah, 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 residents and all that kind of stuff. Can we see what their policy is? I'd like to know what their policy is on their personal cell phone usage during law enforcement services. That was a big issue
It was.
for us in our own police department. And I would like to know what the county's policy is on that and make
Okay.
sure that that falls within what our comfort level is.
gotcha.
Doesn't this harken back to the idea of how do we get a hold of them if it's not 911? Like, how do we?
Well, the difference in that would be if there was a fundamental point of contact for an official purpose.
Right.
So if we're talking about the community school having a point of contact, which in this case, I'll just say Bo because he is the SRO. Or it, it would be appropriate for the principal Samantha to call Bo and say,
I mean, we have.
I have a situation, may I have your guidance? Because and as opposed to being like,
911.
yeah.
Does everything
Maybe
else, like if I had it, like if I had something come up and it wasn't really 911, would I still have to call 911
You
or?
would call JEFCOM non-emergency.
I would, non-emergency.
Or you use the text function, which is very effective and very helpful, like they have a great online reporting option, they have a great text option,
Okay.
so, like if you had a situation where, like, the night when my aunt passed away, I
Yeah.
actually used the text option, cause I was like, I don't think we need an ambulance. So, I mean, which was a little bit very dark and it was an emergency and it was awful, but that's how I got a hold of JEFCOM.
But
Okay,
I
thank
think this section also addresses the next step in that process. So in a non-emergency situation, JEFCOM might call, like, on the radio, say, okay, Sergeant Straley, we have a call from Georgia. Can you please return the call and talk with her? And then they pull their cell phone out and they would contact your cell phone. Same thing happens all the time when I call Eric Rubin and say, hey, Eric, I need you to go over here. There's a problem with a homeless person camping out in the restroom.
Mm.
And so they're trying to, in section 2, I remember this conversation, provide for those instances where it's not an emergency situation, but section 1 and the beginning of section 2 clearly states that the town will go through JEFCOM. Residents will go through JEFCOM, especially for emergency response. Okay, everybody's comfortable with those 3 sections? Okay, changes to the scope, we already started that. Now, here's the big one that I know you're all interested in, that is the compensation. And the solution during our negotiation was to peg the compensation and the invoicing of payment by the town to when a deputy is actually put on the street serving Georgetown. And as you recall during our conversation on which direction to go, we all understand that there is going to be a period of transition when they're recruiting and they're looking for that deputy to put in service in Georgetown. And we all acknowledge that that may take some time. But we want to encourage them through this IGA to move as quickly as possible to start assigning Georgetown deputies. And so we think the only fair and simple way to do this is to divvy up the $633,000 by 3 and allocate that by deputy. And you see that's why we've come to the $52,750. So that prorated payment will kick in per deputy as they are assigned to Georgetown. So if deputy 1 starts working in Georgetown full-time per the IGA in December, that's when we start paying for that deputy. That makes sense? I have asked that, and Jerry, I've sent this to Jerry to ask that the sentence that's in bold be added to this section so that we can do a double check to make sure that everybody understands that no way will the town be paying more than $633,000 a year.
So, I have a question though, when you're starting this, there's gonna be a recruitment and training period. Are we asking then the sheriff's department, since we won't have that person as a dedicated, since they're recruiting them? So we're not paying anything out until they have that person assigned and trained and
Correct,
geared up?
correct.
Sorry.
We briefly talked about an interim payment while they're recruiting and training, but our ultimate request was for the payments to begin only when they have that first deputy on the street serving, and they agreed to that, so that's where we stand. I think that's.
That is a win. Then they may be motivated to move someone to that position right away from the general sheriff's office so they can get the money.
She has to go and.
I'm so sorry, my kid was in an away basketball game and the bus is an hour earlier than it's supposed to be, and he's gonna be down there like with no one, so I need to go. I am so sorry, guys.
Okay, no worries, we do have a form.
I apologize.
With our-
The only thing I wanted to follow up on was code enforcement, if they're like, for like the safe guilty type of code situations.
Yeah, that's,
There you go.
they've got authority to write tickets on the town's municipal codes.
So like the bear fruit trash cans, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
they've got that.
Section 315.
Yep,
Got the right
it's in
to-
there.
I am so sorry, guys.
No, don't
I'm
worry.
sure we'll be
Don't
here.
be safe.
later.
Don't rush.
I'm not back.
Drive carefully.
Come on, the cell phone,
Don't
hold on, I'm driving down.
Stop at the stop signs.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'll just skip the roundabout and fly over.
Okay, one thing I wanna point to while we're on this discussion. Is
Yeah.
because we talked about when the payment's gonna kick in. Now, let's look at 4.4. Now, when they lose a deputy and they're in transition and they're actively recruiting and training a new person to replace, that payment stays in place. So while they're giving on 4.1, they're keeping that income or that revenue coming while they actually spend resources on.
For the rest of that quarter.
Yes,
It doesn't say for the year.
no,
It's just for that quarter.
No additional quarterly payments, yeah.
okay,
You get a tail, but it's a short tail.
So this.
How's that for an analogy?
I like it.
okay. The next big one is the termination notice.
Can I just ask one question?
Uh-huh.
You have a highlighted here, please insert language that states the other services provided for are no additional cost to the town. In the packet, it also says it should be stated somewhere that the annual cost to the town when fully staffed is $633,000, and I think that was.
That's the one.
That's the one you just added. Okay, never mind. Thank you.
Okay,
Apologies.
no problem. The termination, we talked about this briefly, and we understand that if there's any desire by the parties to dissolve this IGA, it would involve them having to adjust their staffing by laying off the deputies that they assigned to Georgetown, which would be a budget matter. And from our perspective, if we decided to do our own thing, we know it's gonna take about a year lead time to start up our police department, so both parties agreed to that 1 year notice.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the next many items, I'm gonna let Jerry talk about, because with all the legalese you put in an IGA, to protect the community. If you have any questions on that, I'm sure Jerry can answer why those important sections to include.
Yeah, the only, provision that is of mild interest is the stuff on governmental immunity and insurance. Each party maintains their own insurance coverage, reflective law. We're a member of CIRSA, they're a member of the county pool. And you'll notice in section, let me see. Right, yeah, 7, that neither party waives the immunity, liability limitations, et cetera, in the Governmental Immunity Act. It's important to have that because there are some case law out there that holds that if you buy insurance for something, then maybe you have waived your immunities under the Governmental Immunity Act. You really don't want to do that because that's, to begin with, a set of immunities where you can't even be sued. And even if you are, there's limitations of liability. So the fact you've got a supplementary insurance policy, we always make it clear, every agreement I've ever written, make clear that that does not waive your Governmental Immunity Act protection. So there's that. The rest of it, as Anna says, is really on their plate. I'm happy to, address any questions like that, but it's stuff to me. The last paragraph on budget appropriations, that's a tapered savings clause, right? That you can't have a multi-year fiscal obligation. So you say every obligation of either party, if you're anytime everything on, is subject to ballot appropriations in that year. So, but other than that, nothing more to add.
Can I ask a question? No third party beneficiaries, what does that mean?
I mean, sometimes when you enter into a contract with someone, there's a third party that can claim that they have a benefit. If I enter into an agreement with you on, say, an easement to use your property for a driveway for me, maybe my tenant would say, well, I have rights under that agreement too. Even though I didn't sign that agreement. I'm the third party, but I didn't sign it, but I think the intention was to give me the right to drive on that thing and do more than what Jerry Hall really intended. So you provide in the agreement, there are no third party beneficiaries, so when that third party shows up and thinks they've got rights under the agreement, you point to paragraph 11 and say, no, you don't. Yep.
Okay, how are we feeling about where we are at this point?
I appreciate all the work you guys do.
Yeah, right.
Wow. The intention here is to get a final draft from the county's legal counsel, hopefully this week, right, Jerry?
Yep.
And once we have that and we've addressed the issues you've raised this evening, we will send that final draft to you in advance of the 25th. And if everybody's comfortable, I'm hoping that you'll take this up on the 25th. I'll put it on the agenda. The group can then discuss. We've had conversations about additional outreach, right, to the community. So maybe you want to do that. So I'll just leave that up to you on the 25th, based on where you're at with the final draft. Okay, so I can't say today where it's going to land, but I'm hopeful that we'll have a final document for you that you'll accept on the 25th. If not, we can do more, and I think the sheriff's office is good with that. We have an IGA that's good until November 31st. 30th. And so if we need to on the 25th, we can entertain another extension into December, using the same IGA. Okay?
Separate from the IGA, but along these lines, can we get the code change in our municipal code so that we're in compliance with ourselves and so that we can engage in law enforcement services that are outside of our own police department?
Yeah, fair enough. I've given that a lot of thought. I actually even put together a draft ordinance that would say that.
Maybe leave the door open?
Yeah, the hesitation hearing is not that I'm hesitant about what I think, but about it, but, as I read our code, it says the town shall establish a police department. And there shall be, a police chief, et cetera, et cetera. I think that doesn't preclude town from contracting for law enforcement services with the county, which is what we're doing. And this IGA doesn't say the county, you are our police department. It says you will be providing, see the distinction I'm making. Yeah, let me elaborate for a minute. So I think that the code is not violated by us deciding to employ the county to provide law enforcement. As it turns out, we're employing them to provide all law enforcement. The code says there's hereby established a police department. Okay, but if it's not staffed at all, and you're contracting for law enforcement services with the county, is that inconsistent with the code? And I think not. But you have to kind of go through that mental exercise to say so. Now, I could go on to say, and I have in this draft ordinance, it's I plugged it into there shall be a town police department. I've gone on to say, notwithstanding the foregoing, the town may choose to provide any or all law enforcement service, the Board of Selectmen may choose to provide any or all law enforcement services by intergovernmental agreement, contract, or otherwise, which would clearly cover this. But it was a door I wasn't completely sure I needed to open for the reason I described. I'm happy to do it, but it would raise the question of, well, why is it that you think is your agreement with the county before or after you've amended your code? And maybe no one cares. Maybe this is kind of angel on the head of a pin that only, lawyers, stay up late at nights thinking about. I'm happy to take your direction if there's a sense that, we'd like to be able to show to the public. It's more of I think I won't call it PR, but it's more of a outward facing thing to do if you want it done. If you think that there will be questions, well, wait a minute, how can you do this if you've got a police department? Then that ordinance would absolutely cover that question. I don't think the ordinance is necessary to empower you to do this IGA, despite the fact that the code says there's a police department. I think both things can be true. At the same time, a police department that's recognized in the code but is not staffed, and an IGA with the county to provide law enforcement.
So Jerry and I had a whole meeting designated to this discussion. And the one thing that we did come to an agreement on was the ordinance change is obviously the board's prerogative. And I think you've heard from Jerry, both of our opinions on that. However, the timing of it is important because if we're not going to move forward with an IGA on the 25th, then there's no need to change the ordinance. Does that make sense? So we wanted to time this in terms of the board being comfortable with the IGA, ready to approve that, and then entertain the ordinance to bring the code into compliance the way you want it to be. So I think that my recommendation would be in line with what Jerry has just said. On the 25th, if the board is ready to approve the final IGA document, to then also direct Jerry to come back with the proposed ordinance change for the first meeting in December.
That's fine. I just think there's a lot of places in our code that gives the power to the misrepresented police marshal. And that we changed to police chief.
We did, yeah.
And so, subject to interpretation, I think this is very clear that we either establish our own police department or we have the opportunity to seek law enforcement services from another entity, whether it be the county, whether it's private, whether it's whatever. And so that kind of encapsulates all the other little gray areas throughout our code that may help us tie it back in.
If that's a consensus of all of you this evening, then we can push that timeline up and we could have that the item that follows the approval of the IGA.
You have to do 2 readings anyway, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
So
okay.
You could do an emergency ordinance, but I'm not sure I'd sign that kind of,
I just don't want us to not
that's fine.
address, leave that up.
Yeah.
I've
For
got
consistency.
We'll run it on first reading on the 25th.
Yeah.
That's easily done.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
I had a thought, I don't know if this is something we want to entertain or not, but what about special like when ICE shows up or. Homeland Security or things like that, what if these governmental entities. Try to supersede the authority, do we need to discuss that?
No, I think that there's a pretty clear delineation between federal law enforcement
Yeah.
and county and local.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for all your input. I
Well,
think this
thank you,
made
Jerry.
great strides.
Yeah.
I think 2050.
Very much greatly appreciated. Okay, so moving along with our agenda, we have ordinance number 13, which is the second reading of the outdated subdivision plat restrictions. And Jerry, would you like to address this?
Right, I need to, one. Find it, yes, okay, you have a sort of.
Can I jump in quick? I'm gonna run downstairs and get a Diet Coke. Does anybody want anything?
No, but thank you very much.
Another Diet Coke down.
Or was it Tesco?
Thank you.
Right, the armrest here for the last.
If you bring me back anything, I will.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
In a minute, well, you have a memo for me, and I think I started with maybe a part meeting, and you've seen already one of these, applications to remove those plat restrictions in the Bighorn. And you'll see another one because there's one that's, gone past planning commission now and will be scheduled for you next meeting.
December, first meeting.
First meeting in December, her name is Lana Kim. So you'll see hers, but, and I'm actually kind of glad we've had the experience to do both of those. Because, it has kind of informed us. Of what to do for a more global solution, and that's why I really here. And I've set it up as, you suggested, I think I've now added the, yes, I took it to you, is this first reading or second?
Second reading.
Second reading, oh, wonderful, okay. At first reading, the only change you recommended was, we had a review by the planning commission, we're back up done. And so you see that on the second page, whatever, like it's the letter C, it's got the process, and I included the planning commission there. I'm excited to see this happening, I think it's gonna be a good thing, and if, once it's passed, I will work with Dennis, who's the only person who can file an application, which is good, it's limited, and I'll put together, now that I've got these two others that were done, I'll use them as a starting point. Broaden it, will take care of the hospitality units that are locked into the hotel, along with the ones, as I think I mentioned before, that are optional ones, and try to clear the title on that too. And so I'm pleased that it will be a tool that we'll be glad to have to at least eliminate this one item. It may well be that sometime in the future, there'll be some other weird plat that is this kind of thing that we just can't get owners to pay attention. But we'd like to help them, and help me help you, said Tom Cruise to Cuba Gooding Jr. in the movie. Thank you very much.
What?
So we'll try to do
You're a
that.
good wingman, Rob.
Yeah, thank you.
You had me alone.
That means a lot. So that's the deal. You saw it last time. I kind of forgot you'd already seen the first reading. Haven't asked questions, proper motion to approve it on second reading.
Any questions on this? Do I have a motion, or do you want to make a motion?
It's going to be a proper motion be to approve ordinance number 13, 2025 on second reading.
Do I hear a motion?
So.
Rob, thank you. Second?
Second.
Mary? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Ordinance number 3 is passed at second reading. Next item up is item number 4, the Fifth Street Ice Rink MOU. And this is something that we did talk about last time, and Kasia, I'm assuming you would like to speak to this.
I can, yes, Jerry did prepare the memorandum of understanding, and it's pretty simple. But it does include that we are responsible with assumed liability for the area, will maintain it, and it establishes certain hours and dates that we will have privileges over that, and also establishes that we can cancel within 30 days, but not during the winter Because once there's ice in there, things.
So this is very limited to the winter months ice rink. Do we have any ideas that we may want to use this in the summer, or would that just be a whole separate thing?
That would be a whole set.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this MOU for the ice rink?
Yeah, under 1C, the town is solely responsible for preparing advertisements and signs for the ice rink and providing appropriate supervision during open hours.
I have this question.
Yes.
And it sounds like we have the liability for this thing. I had a half court for a year that was a plastic ice rink. And kids hit their head a lot in those things.
So
So how much liability do you, and what is supervision of the ice rink from 8 to 8?
So I saw this provision and we currently do not offer any supervision for the ice rink that we have in
Right.
place. And people accept a certain amount of risk when they use that. And we could potentially put up some additional signage if we wanted to limit our liability there. I do think we would have certain supervision for events if we decided to plan some kind of event there that included a lot of invited public metrics.
I think that's a difference though, and I'm glad you covered it. I think supervision needs to be taken out, and we should put the signs just like we have down at the lake. This is at your own risk.
Well, let me jump in because section 1 does not say that it's mandating that the town provide supervision. It's saying that the school is not responsible for that, basically. We can choose not to provide the supervision just like we do with Corbin Park. This is only dictating that supervision is our responsibility, that the school will not take on that responsibility.
I think I would say that. We usually say, because this implies that we
So
are
if
responsible.
we include the word at its discretion, at the town's discretion, that would make that more clear to you.
Sure.
Okay.
So otherwise, I would think that somebody needs to be
I
there.
agree, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's like a lifeguard kind of thing.
they had to deal with that when they had that plastic ice rink down in Idaho Springs too.
Oh, man.
Oh, they had to have somebody there?
Yeah, when it was on the football field, they used the concession stand to keep the supervisors warm and they had to schedule staff for it. And believe me, it is a tremendous liability with the ice.
And at Orland Park, we don't, it's,
Exactly.
yeah, so let's be consistent and.
Great. Any other questions on this?
I should say, we'll also make sure we advise Sursa, our insurer, our
Yeah.
insurer, that, while we're using property of someone else, it's a MOU, and so we now have not really a property interest, but a use right. That, if there are problems and we get sued, we'll want Sursa to be defending, and they are always, that they don't require you to let them know ahead of time. Other insurance companies would, they deny you on that basis, but
Yeah.
Sursa is not your usual insurance company, but they're such a great insurer that I make an effort always to let them know when there's new things that have been added to the town's potential exposure.
Just like the other item that was voted on this evening with the park donation.
Yeah.
We will add that to
We'll have
our
that checked.
list of assets that they're covering.
Cool. All right, there is, any other comments? There is a motion in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll move to approve the MOU with Georgetown Community School for its use of school property as an ice rink,
With the correction as directed.
with the correction as directed.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, so the MOU is set for the ice rink. Thank you very much. It's exciting. I think that's gonna be really fun. Okay, item number 5, HRA and premium coverage proposal. You have a lot of information here in your packet. And is that a, so Kasia will handle it? Kasia? Thank you very much.
Yes, so at the previous meeting, we did approve the HEHP 5,000 plan. Which includes a $5,000 deductible that will be the responsibility of either the town or the employee, depending on how we structure an HRA or an HSA. So I did include the proposal from Rocky Mountain Reserve, which has an HSA and an HRA proposal. Staff is recommending the HRA option. And one of the reasons for that is that money becomes, it's a pledge from us. So first of all, we're not dedicating that money right off the bat. An HFA would be a fund that we put money into that belongs to the employee. This is a pledge, so if they need it, it is available to them, but if they do not need it, they don't get it, so the town retains those funds. It also would provide coverage, we checked with Rocky Mountain Reserve specifically, and Gallagher, who's our broker, about whether or not we could provide a sort of special split. So typically HRAs would have either a 1,000, sorry, let me back up. We are proposing that the town puts $4,000 into a pledge for an HRA. The deductible is $5,000. There's that $1,000 deductible that the employee would still be responsible for. There's a couple different ways the HRAs can be set up. You can either have that $1,000 due upfront, the employee has to pay before they can access the $4,000 that we put into the HRA for them. Or you can have the $4,000 upfront, and that last $1,000 would be their responsibility. What we requested is to see if all payment for the entire $5,000 deductible could be split, an 80-20% split. So every time that they go to use their medical health coverage, they would pay 20%, we would pay 80% until that $5,000 deductible is met. So that reduces some of the initial costs for our employees, which was a concern with this plan. And it also keeps their skin in the game for the whole time. So it's never a matter of like, oh, well, I'm not paying, so, you know, I'll just do whatever, which, you know, I don't think our employees are that way, but something we want to think about as far as how much money we're spending. So my proposal is to pledge an HRA for employees, $4,000 coverage for employees, $4,000 for families if they opt for that. And that is a relatively rich plan compared to what we offer now. Our current plan has a $1,000 deductible with additional costs out of pocket, so it ends up being $4,600 something out of pocket annually for the year with our current plan. This would only make it $1,000 for the employee or $2,000 if they have family coverage, so that's a better plan overall for our employees. Mary requested a comp schedule, and I went and looked at CML and thought about breaking this out into, you know, just comparable things, but they frame it pretty well, so I just put the whole the whole study in here. And what I wanted to really point out to you is the TCV column. I know it's very small, I apologize, which is the total compensation value. I calculate that with this plan, for per month per employee, our estimated total compensation value is about $1,300, $1,336. And if you look at most of these, the TCV is higher than that. So we are still, you know, we're still competing. And I think that's because they're not doing the high deductible plans. They're doing lower deductible plans where the premium is higher. So, but all of these are very complicated. Everybody has different ways that they handle health coverage. So we can look through that if you're interested. But that is my proposal. And this also includes, again, the $703 proposed premium coverage for families. So employees who wanted to opt into family coverage would be paying the $500 premium. We would be paying $703 of that, and we'd be covering the entire 100% coverage for the employee. That was a lot of information. Do we have questions?
Can we do an HRA and an HSA?
You can do whatever you want.
Can we do a lesser HRA?
Like less money that's funded into it? Absolutely.
So I have a question. What is the total outlay of the town versus what we're now paying? So we're paying X amount now for employees. What would we pay under your proposal?
So I'm sorry, Georgia, I know your packet is printed kind of weird, mine is printed weird as well. This page,
Page 79.
79, has a breakdown of what we believe we would be paying, what our maximum exposure would be. And what we're, if we renewed the other plan.
So which is the renewal, so what is the current plan that we have, which one of these?
So the renewal of the current plan, medical B 1000, which is this top kind of chunk here.
Mm-hmm.
Estimated annual would be 180,864 for the town, and it would be 22,324 for employees. The new plan with my proposal would be and this is estimated, our maximum exposure is listed there if you're interested. Estimated would be 174,624, which is less than the B 1000. And the employees would be significantly reduced to potential 7,000.
So the next line down where it says difference of 6,000, that means we're saving 6,000.
Yes.
Yeah, we estimate that we will save $6,220.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So potentially, if we go with this plan, this proposal.
Mhm.
Under the third bullet on this. Create an HRA account that will pay up to 4,000 for each employee in a year and an additional 4 for the family coverage. So if someone has a family coverage, we're talking about $8,000.
Yes. We have 12 employees right now, with Anna.
So it's a better plan and less money
Yes.
for the town, less outlay for the town.
Yes, I don't know if you saw, there was a recent article, I think it was in the Colorado Municipal League, was talking about how healthcare costs for municipalities is skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
And so while many municipalities are having to suffer through huge improvements, huge decreases, the town of Georgetown now has before it a program that both improves the services and the coverage and saves the town money.
It was just a mayors and commissioners meeting where this very topic was coming up. So for Idaho Springs, their health insurance coverage costs have gone up hugely. Same for Empire, Silver Plum wasn't there, but that, just to corroborate what you're saying, that's absolutely an issue.
And Mary brought up a good point about the town's contribution to this.
Mhm.
Our goal, when Cage and I were putting this together, was to have zero change in the deductible responsibility of the employees. Now it's 1,000. We wanted to hit the goal of $1,000, so that was not changed. However, you know, when we get towards the end of the year and we're coming back to you next year for a renewal on this, and we prove to you that our hunch was correct, and then you'll feel better about maintaining that $4,000 contribution. But if we're way off and something happens where we have an extraordinary experience within the roster of employees, then you can adjust that contribution down in the next year's proposal that we received from Gallagher. So we're very comfortable with our estimate here. We think that this is going to be a really good thing for the town and the employees, but it does provide the flexibility for us to adjust our HRA next year.
But does this estimated annual cost to us include so they provided this fee structure to us for them to manage this plan for us. And if I did my simple math right, and I could be way off, I believe it's $125 a month, $1,500 a year, is that per employee?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And that it's per participant, right? That's health savings good, so that's for an HSA and then the HRA. So depending on what level HRA we're providing,
It's a level
there's an
1.
administrative fee for that, whether we use it or not. Correct? And so are those fees
No, I did not include the
in here?
$4.75 in here.
But there's also the other optional services. Are we looking at that?
What are options? They're down here.
There's other optional services, document amendment fee, HRA, HSA, $75, the employer requires separate funding and reporting for multiple, I mean, we're not really multiple entities, but does
That would
that?
be if we wanted to change something, they would charge us for that.
Well, if you want separate funding and reporting, if you need a different file feed, so it sounds like an administrative fee that would apply. This health savings account is less expensive, but again, it's not the most viable option. Is that what we're saying, the HSA? We're saying the HRA is more,
Sure, it offers more potential financial savings for the town.
for the
While
town
still
and the,
covering the employees.
right, okay, thank you.
So is the summary that the administrative fees that we're looking at on this $4.75 times 12 employees? And then if we make changes to the plan, we would pay a one-time $75 fee per change.
Oh, it's not for changing the plan, it's if you want separate funding and reporting for multiple entities or divisions, so it's very specific.
So that doesn't apply.
I don't think it applies to the beginning.
So I know we approved the new plan that was for the employee and the option for the family.
Yes,
So that isn't so now I'm back to page 79 here. So the renewal of the current plan, medical B 1000, that's no longer applicable because we changed that already.
correct.
So we're sort of under the new plan right now with the HRA part still up for grabs.
Yes, and their premium coverage.
Okay, so we've already made the reduction. It would have cost us $180,000 to maintain the old plan. We've already reduced that. Not counting the HRA, we reduced that to what, $120,000?
Quite a bit. It's the new plan.
So if you take out the HRA contribution, the maximum HRA exposure is $64,000. And correct me if I'm looking at the wrong columns here. So we could have been paying 180, we've already brought that down. So now we're paying basically 174 minus the potential HRA exposure of 64. So we're paying $110,000?
Yes.
Okay, so we've already cut that in half, I mean, by changing this plan.
Yes, the deductible being higher reduced the premiums by quite a bit.
So we could shift the entire burden of change on the employee, which would then be responsible for the premiums and the deductible of $5,000 and $10,000.
10,000 for families.
But what we're saying is we want to improve the coverage for our employees and not burden them with the additional expense. We're betting on the fact that the roster of 12 is not going to use 100% of their deductible for all 12 employees. Thereby, we would save that money in the premium cost that's been lowered. So it's a big win for the town and it's a win for the employees as well, and makes us more competitive in the recruiting market.
So what did we determine from the conversation that we had last time we discussed this, where if an employee had the opportunity to be covered under a different plan, and what the rebate or whatever you wanna call it was to that, that question was still out there as to how that was going to be, how that could be applied, where,
Payment in lieu?
yes,
Yes.
where are we with that?
We're waiting to get this approved this evening, and then we're gonna come back to you with the payment in lieu proposal. And it's not changed. I think we're still at $300 if an employee opts out. We only think we have one employee that's interested in that option. Is that right?
I'm not even sure if we change it, if you would, so.
But we still would like that to offer new employees. I mean, we have Anna who's come on board, right? She might wanna opt out of it, but she has coverage somewhere else. But if you'll recall, that proposal does have a very strict requirement that they provide proof of coverage by either their spouse.
Or their parent if they're 26.
It's just,
Yeah.
it has to be an individual.
And we're still bringing it to you, yes.
But if it were a family option, there would have been a higher in lieu of.
It couldn't be for family if I remember, wasn't it just?
So-
You have to be single if you're covered by some. Well, no, it could be.
Not part of this proposal, so again, just to go back to what we talked about before. You have to be married to qualify this, or you have to be 26 or younger. Those are the only two conditions that you can qualify to opt out of our healthcare plan.
But if I'm an employee of the town and my spouse has better coverage and provides for my entire family, our entire family, then I'm opting out.
Correct.
can.
The only time a single person may do so is if they are
That's what-
26 or younger.
Right, but so we're not just limiting it though to just singles, we're limiting it to anyone. Current employee or future employee, we don't know who we're gonna be hiring in the next year.
We're
right now.
saying that you were concerned about whether it be more pay in lieu for people who have families as opposed to people who are single, but the only singles who qualify for that would be 26 and under. And we can do the 150-300 split. That is a very simple decision if you guys decide to go with that. And it's also not necessarily part of this particular package, so.
No, but the bottom line is part of the financial contribution that we're approving for this benefit.
But it's also a significant savings to the town to get somebody off of our coverage.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, the town.
but it's all
town-
part of the picture.
Yeah,
That's
right, there's more
That's
savings coming, let's just say on the 25th when we bring this up.
$64,000 worth?
No,
Okay.
maybe 63.
Okay. Dennis said 63.
Oh, crap.
And then she wrote it down.
All right, any further discussion on this? Any other questions for Kasia? All right, so do I hear a motion? See, is there a motion? There is a motion in your packet on page 61. Would someone like to make that motion?
I will.
Okay, Alex? Go ahead, read it out.
I move to approve the Rocky Mountain Reserve HRA proposing a staff recommended premium coverage.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Rich, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Kasia, thank you so much. It was very
Thank you.
informative. Lots of detail there.
When will this go into effect?
January 1st.
So, thank you. Okay, so.
Can't call in sick between now and then, okay?
I'm not healthcare, so.
No sickness. Last action item, consideration of BPC member appointments, and you have letters in your packet. Did you want to, who's handling this? Is that you, Kasia? Okay, thank you.
So, actually, Mary, do you want to talk about this?
You can go ahead, I'm trying.
So the Business Promotion Commission has not been able to form a quorum for October or November. And however, do not actually require a recommendation from the board in order to appoint people.
From the commission.
From the commission, I apologize, in order to appoint people to the commission. You may do so at, that's your power to do. So these 3 people have applied, they've been waiting to hear, and I believe that all of the individuals on the Business Promotion Commission would support the appointment of more members so that a quorum may be formed and the meetings may continue. And so this proposal is in front of you for Mariah George, who is the owner and manager of Naravisa, which is the new coffee shop with her partner Alec. It's she gave me, okay, there's a way to remember it. It's like very nice, Naravisa.
It's nice.
It's Italian.
Right. That was my second guess.
Naravisa, or vice versa. So Nara vice versa, the other way she told me
I
that.
could do it with coffee, so I forget the name.
Yeah.
They only take MasterCard.
Coffee on 6, that's it.
Nara vice, yes, and they're lovely human beings. Carrie Hagerman is the manager at the Georgetown Lodge. She's an interesting applicant because we don't have any people who are currently in the hospitality industry that are represented on the board. And then Lauren Burkhardt is not a business owner in town, she's a new resident. But the board does not require that someone has to own a business or be involved with one, so anybody is welcome to apply. And so those are your 3 applicants, and their letters and applications are attached, as Georgia mentioned, so.
Thank you, Kasia. Any questions for Kasia or for Mary Smith on these BPC recs?
So BPC is unofficially in favor of moving forward because as it says in the summary, we haven't had a quorum to have a meeting, so they couldn't have made a recommendation to please beg of us to approve someone because that just wasn't happening. There are, a couple of members who are going to be up for potential renewal, I suppose, in February, and it's not 100% that those parties are interested in staying. So I would like us to consider too, if we appoint these three people, because it is a 2-year term and it's typically in February, if, you know, life was perfect, that we appoint them and they're 2-year terms that would then expire in February of 2028.
29.
No, 8, because next year will be 26, we're still in
Sorry,
29.
sorry, it's giving them an extra year.
And that'll still
Okay, yeah.
it'll still give the offset of, you know, some members being, you know, so that there's a rotation there.
What is the requirement in terms of quorum?
So we can have we have a commission of 7, so we need 4. And so even 2 of these, I think, can be,
Alternates.
well, one could be an alternate, or that person then may assume the position or the, you know, full-time position, whatever you wanna call it, a non-alternate
Anybody
position.
rotating off?
Yeah, in February, and then, you know, so.
Thank you.
I would suggest that we recommend all of them.
Can you make the motion that's in the packet?
Yes, but I just wanna
Yeah,
make a comment, see if this comment can come back in light of the fact that there may be some people who will not want to renew their position.
and let's give and I skimmed through the code, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, as to whether we would normally designate who the alternate is, or whether the commission actually would do that. It's usually a conversation that the commission has, but I would like that opportunity to stay with them, at least for now, because maybe one person or 2 of these people are going to be a little bit more available than the other party, or there might be some of that shift within the commission, and let them do their job and get their stuff
Kind
done.
of sort it
Yeah.
out.
So the motion should reflect that the board is giving discretion to the Business Promotions Commission to delineate who the alternates will be.
Do we need to do that?
I don't think we need to do that, I think that's automatically done through the commission.
I don't think
Well, it's,
Oh, okay, all right.
All right,
they can make recommendation, but they don't have any authority to make those appointments on their own.
so delineate which,
to
or
let BPC
two.
delineate who the alternatives are, because the alternates are, because it may even be now that if we approve this, that there may be a shift right now within the
Okay.
commission, just based on availability.
So
And
you're
you want them
thinking
to
motion-
serve to February 2028 also, we want to
Yeah.
make sure that they have that extended. Okay, so,
Before you make a motion, let me just make
Please.
sure if the idea is that one way to handle that, I suppose would be, you know, the motion is to appoint the list, the list of persons to the Business Promotion Commission, and further to authorize the commission to determine which of those appointees shall serve as regular members and as alternates. Is that your
Thank you.
intention?
yes, do I hear that motion? So move. And Mary, and second,
I'll second it.
Rob, thank you very much, all those in favor? Thank you, any opposed? Very good, new members, hey. Okay, so, I do have a quick report, there is going to be a Georgetown Gives Day this Saturday from 10 to 5 in Strauss Park. This is to benefit Loaves and Fishes and project support for seniors and canned goods. This is be posted on our, social media, and also I have posters around town. If you want this, please let me know, I'll send it to you. And so, it's obviously canned goods, things that don't perish. And also toilet paper, soap, laundry, towels, things like that as well. 1A passed in the county by 15 points, so that was a very big win for the county. So that increases the taxes in the unincorporated areas for EMS, and that is Rich has been very involved in this, so that was a very good thing. So that is my report. And then Board of Selectmen, I'll start with Amanda. She sent me a text on what she wants. She says, for my report, 2 things. Tomorrow is economic resilience meeting in Georgetown at the old school. And her second thing is she has had so many compliments lately about how great the parks look. Just wanted to pass it along. So that is Amanda.
Bro.
Rob. Okay, Dwayne,
I have nothing.
Rob?
The parks, huh? No, we've got tree lighting coming up. Asia and I are gonna go walk around and alert the merchants and get them kind of psyched up for it.
We're gonna have s'mores during tree lighting.
Oh, I forgot about that. I was
I think
working on
never
hot
got it,
apple
that's
cider
true.
and hot
You
chocolate.
want to?
I can do them, sure.
Thank you.
It's on Saturday, so that's a normal day.
The Saturday after Thanksgiving, yeah,
Yes.
Great, 29.
all right.
Yep,
And then,
no, 2030.
no, it's the 29. 29.
It's the 29th, yeah.
So I think we just gotta go to the community center and get those big vats for the hot chocolate and hot apple cider. We're gonna just dole it out in Strauss Park. With any luck, the weather will be horrible.
I went down there, by the way, and I rummaged around and I couldn't find them, but they didn't have anybody down there that would be able to point.
Know where
so-
they were.
You know what I'll do? I might text Beth Luther and ask her if she knows where they.
Mark Reynolds.
You can do that, but you can, I was just gonna go back down there when I saw that somebody was down there, so.
I thought they were in the back of, you mean the vats and stuff, the big.
You know, the big, like, they're decanters, you know, they've got the little thing at the bottom, but you mix the hot chocolate and the hot apple cider in one of them, so you have 2 of them, and you basically.
Mark Reynolds might know.
I don't think we own those.
No, I know we don't.
Yeah,
I thought we bought some for s'mores and stuff like that.
You know, I've never seen them for some more, so what do I know? I'm just handing out s'mores to people and
I don't know.
That's what I do.
Well, you know what?
they're not that expensive. We can buy
They
some.
might be in the police department, we can
You
look.
know, it's something that we would always use.
The community center has.
I think Mark Reynolds would know where they are in the community center.
Do you want me to call Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah, and then. Yeah,
Are we having a DVZ?
yes,
What?
the designated zone, that's what Mary calls it, so.
That's what our motto calls it. I'm over there. County top on. I'm
The official term is special event liquor.
Yeah.
I'm from Georgia. So my friend Vicky is texting me, Vicky Rostian, saying you can see the northern lights tonight from Georgetown.
Oh, yeah, listen.
Is that part of your official report?
Yes, here's my police report.
No, it's gonna be mine.
Let's hurry up and adjourn that so we can go see.
I think that's amazing, right? Look, this is the town with the lights
Nice.
to the north.
That's a great
Nice to
thing.
have some Saxon.
There you
Like
go.
Allison did, Jimmy.
Yeah, right now.
Are you done, Ron?
What?
So hurry up. Okay,
I am done.
all right, very good. Alex.
No report.
Wow.
All right, and Rich.
I was at my daughter's wedding, so I missed the last fire authority meeting. We'll be meeting next week. I think there's gonna be some changes coming. Positive changes.
Oh, good, all right. Thank you. Mary.
I would like to thank all the veterans in our
Yes.
community and their
Good
family
point.
members
Amen.
for the
Yep.
service to this country. on
Thank
this
you.
day.
Thank you. Well done and well said. All right, Jerry, Mr. Rowell, town attorney report.
So just one, very quick item, I sent all of you a memo describing, kind of the requirements of the open meetings law and those requirements that we live under that, we've been made more aware of, or at least more sensitive to. And that's good, you know, it's, education's a continuing thing. I'm always happy to kind of sharpen the pencil as I go through. So there's that memo, and I'd encourage you, if you have any, questions about it, let me know. Mary Smith, texted me or emailed me to ask whether, it would be a good idea to have sort of that boiled into a cheat sheet. It isn't sort of an, you know, an epistle written by a lawyer. I get to say lawyer jokes. Cause I receive so many, but I get to sometimes, and then And I'm happy to do that if the board would like. I think that actually is probably a good idea and, if no one objects, I don't need a motion, but if no one objects, I'll be pleased to, create a one-pager that's, kind of, consumer friendly.
Laminated to our
Or you-
forehead.
Do we need to?
Tattooed on our arms, yeah,
We'll bring coffee.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
I will do that. I don't have any other reports. I haven't covered the other things I needed to do on the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, town clerk, oh, Bridget, you're how perfectly well timed this is now,
Your own
Bridget
point.
did include
You brought something more for us.
a st-
Have anyone thirsty?
the town clerk report here, anything that you want to add to your report, Bridget, that you've already printed out here?
I've been pretty busy with cash receipting this last week, so that's been taking the bulk of my time. But I also wanted to add that my next big task is going to be getting signatures on some of the minutes for a couple of the commissions that are behind the minutes that have been approved, so we can get them posted to the website.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, and we have treasurer's report too, thank you so much. Let's say I didn't see something included, did you? Did you include, I don't think you did this time.
Reporting, hoping that everything got turned in for the audit.
Yay,
The sales tax numbers. Our printers stopped working today, but September we had $176,111 in sales tax coming.
and was that, so year over year, last month, last September, do you happen to know what that comparison is like?
Year to date average right now, we're at 131,000. So change, last year, year to date, we were at 137,000.
So we're really close.
We're close.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. So 137 this year? No, last year, 131
Last
now.
year's average 130
Okay.
this year.
Thank you.
Once he can do it, he's going to email that out to you, so you have it in.
Of course, that was just good to know. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Anything else, Q? Any other items? All right.
I have some late breaking news. They are at the community center. I'm supposed to talk to Amanda Copper.
Thank you. Copper? Late breaking and update.
That's from Mark Reynolds, who can't spell paper.
Okay. All right, so, Asia, you, included a staff report here with lots of great information. Thank you. Anything you wanted to add or focus on there?
Business cards are on the way.
Yes.
That's the only thing I wanted to add. And I hear the note about the fireworks. The people who were at the block party thought they were wonderful. I've received a lot of positive things about them. I know that there were some people who the sound caught them off guard. So we will have more opportunity to alert people specifically in that area ahead of time for the Christmas market.
Well, we can see them down, I mean, I can see them from
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
what you said.
Yeah, so they're visible throughout town. even-
They were great.
I thought it was
The folks that
fabulous.
came out
Yeah.
were just crazy about it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been so long since Georgetown.
I think we would have had more people come out if they had known it, you know, I mean, it was.
I
it was a
agree.
good thing.
I
Yeah.
agree.
We did
So-
minimal real marketing for this one because
It was a trial run, but-
right, and we weren't, I didn't wanna get people really excited and disappoint them, so. I was more worried about that than I was about, people not seeing them.
So we have time yet for when they're gonna go for?
No, because we need to get together, with HGI, to make sure that we have that time. I'm imagining 6 o'clock, but we have to talk about it. So
And which day? Do we
the
know?
13th is already set. And that will be dependent, of course, on weather, and we do, part of the contract is a backup day, so.
Did we come to a decision on the roundabout? Whether we were gonna decorate it or find somebody else to do it?
Oh,
The lights, the Christmas lights, was that discussed on Monday?
are we doing what we've always done?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a map downstairs. We can't make a copy of the map because of the
Printer
printer issues. But Mickey's on it and we even investigated having an outside company come in and help with that. but the expense was gonna be too much. It was like 14 grand to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we rented a scissor lift and that's going to be, I can't remember what day he said that, but I thought it was Thursday. And so then you'll see staff, Mickey, Marty, Bob the second, and Kevin.
On the other,
Bob the
Yeah.
younger, Kevin doing all of that work.
Okay, cool.
it's different middle names, so not.
Yeah, well, I know, but he's really not about the second either.
And just so you know, we also have a plan, if it can come to fruition, to put lights on town hall. In addition to the wreath, and we're gonna split it up a little bit more than in past years. With white lights, I was warned not to use colored lights.
Why?
Historic stuff.
Because we have gone through the white and the color just over the last couple of years, let's stay consistent.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
White lights on the street, and we have colored lights typically.
Just on the tree.
And then the roundabout has colored lights.
Even what the strands that go across Sixth Street are white?
Yes,
Yeah.
and on the light poles.
Got it.
And then we also know after an audit that our garland is very old and crumbly, so we're gonna have to replace the garland at some point. And we don't have enough garland to go north of the roundabout. So right now we're investigating acquiring some more this year as quickly as we can to get that out there. But that's up in the air because we don't know how the vendor can respond, how quickly they can respond. And then lastly, on lights, Georgia's been working diligently to try to improve and offer lighting along Argentine on the street lamps that we have and the trees that we have along that corridor.
Nice.
And we have a cost proposal, we have it all lined up. Now it's just the logistics of seeing if we can do it this year or whether we have to wait for next year. Is that about right?
That's about right, thank you.
Okay,
That's great.
staff is all about lights.
And I'm only 29, I'm all about lighting.
So, any other comments or questions before we adjourn the meeting? I'm
I've got
sorry,
a
Mary?
long list.
Of questions?
No, of things to report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
You were just
I'll
sitting
hold,
here.
I'll hold off, because you'll address these, I'm sure.
Okay, the first thing I want to do has to do with you. I
Yeah.
wanted to thank Mary because she organized a meeting with Serenity today, the ownership and the officers there. They want to have a discussion about the lodging tax issue, so we're gonna be working on that. But while we had this conversation, it was great for me, I haven't had a chance to meet the people there at Serenity and set up a time to go through the facility, and you know, because of their clients, it's tricky to organize that and schedule that, but they've offered a couple of times, so I'm excited to go do that. That's gonna be great.
What is the lodging tax issue they have?
So the town set up a unique situation with Serenity when they, was it 2 years ago maybe?
Last year.
Yeah, when they switched over from a hotel to this rehabilitation center. And they really don't qualify as a lodging use, they are a service, which is not subject to lodging tax, but they agreed to do it back 2 years ago.
When we changed it.
So I think that it stems from an accounting and tax issue that they're dealing with, that they would like to be reclassified as a service. So they want to investigate ways that the town could work with them to maintain the same level of revenue, but just reclassify that in some way. And
Oh,
so
okay. So maintain revenue.
we're open to that, and I was very thankful to have the introduction from Mary and also to get this going, because if you know anybody I work with in the town, I get very antsy when things are not straightforward and logical. And having a special situation created for one business entity in the town of Georgetown is not comfortable for me. So this will be an opportunity for us to kind of clean things up with Serenity.
Thank you.
Also, I know that this was in Keisha's report, but Anna, the new marketing events manager, started yesterday. She's delightful, she's energetic, and I'm really happy for her to get going. We've already kind of pushed her into, led her to building these relationships with people in the town. I think she reached out to Mary as a member of the BPC. She's got Craig's contact information. And then we also directed her to make contact with Sadie in Idaho Springs, because we're really committed to strengthening the bond and the partnership with Idaho Springs in terms of marketing and promotion. So we're excited about her. Our current challenge is finding a place for her, because town hall does not have office space for the marketing events manager. And so we have a couple of options, but we did not want to just make that decision unilaterally without her input, so we waited for her to start. And now we're gonna go look at these and see if, what we can come up with. We have some really good opportunities from some of our partners, like the visitor center, and so we're gonna check into that. I wanted to also update you on Bob Hamilton's project. As you recall, he was managing the Argentine Light project and getting all those. If you've been out and about at night, you noticed a huge difference in the street lights and those operations. He's readying that to be wrapped up. He's got a few last punch list items. But I also put him on having local check all of the power supplies for Christmas lights along Sixth Street. So they're gonna be doing that, and if they need to do a couple of additional work orders for that, they're gonna bring that to me and I will approve those within the $10,000 threshold that I have. And then also, in meeting with Mary on Christmas market a couple weeks ago, we have some assignments that the town typically does undertake. One of those things is the powered turtles, is that what you call them?
Yeah.
So,
Distribution.
okay, so HDI rents two, and the town has two under its ownership. One of those doesn't work and needs to be repaired. So we want local to look at that while they're here. Maybe they can repair it. But ultimately, and as I shared with Mary, I don't see the need for HDI to continue to rent those things on an annual basis. The town should just buy two more so that we have four in our inventory. And when I mentioned Acacia, she pointed out a whole slew of other things that we could use those for, not just Christmas market. So I think that I'll be bringing that to you at some point. And then I wanted to let Jerry know that he's not the only one that can make attorney jokes. Since I sign off on his invoices, I can make as many as I want.
That's fair.
Yes, and then the last thing on the issue of fireworks, we've heard criticisms about the fireworks, and they're not about how beautiful they are or how loud they were, really. It's about, hey, the town can't afford to spend money on fireworks.
Right.
And I just want to remind you, the town does have funding to spend on these kinds of things that I think build community fabric. So if you want to talk to those constituents, when you hear those criticisms that we can afford it. And secondly, the staff is diligently seeking out sponsorships from local businesses to help offset the cost of those fireworks. And so we're not just sitting back and saying, pay for it, taxpayers. We're looking for good ways that we can partner with our local community to make this a win-win for everybody. So with that, I'm done. Mary, did you have a question?
Thank you. Yeah, the one item that you missed, you did hit one of those over. Thank you. I appreciate that. I won't tell you which one. Last meeting, we had tabled the code of conduct and it was supposed to come
Yes.
back tonight. So where are we with that?
The code of conduct was tabled until a future meeting.
What was that?
It's our minutes. It was supposed to be tonight.
Well, I was under the impression I had a little time, so we will.
You don't read the minutes either then.
I do, yes, I do. Don't I, Bridget? Yes.
We also, my impression was that we were directed to take that to all of the commissions before we brought it back to you, so.
Right, but it was tabled for this meeting. I had the same note, so that's good. All right. Thank you. Any other comments?
I'm going to adjourn.
Thank you, Mary. Second.
Second.
Rich, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.